It's time for an inside look at the most powerful motorsport on the planet. WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
It's the most exciting sport on earth as far as I'm concerned.
Take a walk through the Nitro pits as we go one-on-one with the stars of drag racing.
Hi, I'm Courtney Forrest.
I'm Tony Schumacher.
Hey, you're with Matt Hagan.
This is Ron Capps, Matt Hagan's personal friend. You're on WFO.
Featuring the NHRA's Alan Reinhart.
Our events are truly an experience. They're not just a spectator event. They are an experience.
So get in, sit down, and hold on with host Joe Costello as he goes WFO.
Thanks, brother. Always love being on WFO, baby. Nobody brings it to you better than you, brother.
Now crank it up. It's time to go WFO. Here's your host, Joe Costello.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back, NHRA fans, to the WFO Radio podcast. This is NHRA Nitro, and I'm Joe Costello. We're getting ready for the third race of the 2018 Mellow Yellow Series Countdown. Headed to the Texas Motorplex for the AAA Texas Fall Nationals, and we got a great show for you this week. Great show, great guests, a lot of great all going on. I'm excited about heading out to Big D. Got a lot of fun going to be happening. Going to be heading out to the Fan Fest on Thursday night. Marvin Rodak and a bunch of WFO radio listeners going to all meet up out there. We are going to have a great time and then get ready for the third playoff race, plus the final race in the Samtech Factory Stock Showdown season. And that leads me to the guests we're going to have on the show. Of course, if it's your first time listening to WFO Radio, this is a podcast. You can download our free mobile application for iOS or Android. Go to Apple Podcasts, subscribe, all that stuff. The show is now on YouTube. You can find us anywhere very easily and simply and conveniently and all of that stuff. All of it. Here are the guest list. Ready? Robert Height was scheduled to be on the show this week. Robert's so busy, obviously, dealing with everything. We've got Chris Cunningham, co-crew chief, pinch hitting for Robert Height. Chris is going to tell us about, well, what caused the explosion. He's going to tell us about being in a title battle as champion. Going to talk a little bit about the Texas Motorplex and ask him some questions about dealing with the situation. As a co-crew chief, he and Jimmy Prock, tough situation, battling the competition, how they handle it all. Chris Cunningham going to be on the show. Also on the show, he's back, Corey Mack. That's right, Corey McClanahan going to be back driving Dexter Tuttle's Top Fuel dragster. Corey going to be on the show. We're going to speak with him about their plans and what they're trying to accomplish out there this weekend. Also going to ask Corey about his off-road truck racing career and all the cool things he's got going on. So we're going to hear from Corey Mack on this show. And then we're going to do a deep dive into the Samtech Factory Stock Showdown final race. The final race, the ultimate race. Champions will be crowned. We have 3 drivers within 1 point, meaning Stephen Bell, Archie Cohn tied for the lead. Leah Pritchett 1 point back. It's incredible. This category is so cool, so interesting. The cars are so great. Everybody loves it. As far as I know, I haven't run into anyone who has said that they don't like Samtech Factory Stock Showdown. So on the show, we got Brian Massengill from Samtech, going to break it all down for us. We have got Stephen Bell, one of the championship contenders. Stephen going to talk about his championship hopes, obviously what went wrong out there in St. Louis, that the car didn't leave the starting line. We're going to hear from Kevin Helms, the 4-time world champion who is crew chief for Leah Pritchett. We're going to hear from Archie Cohn, who is tied with Stephen Bell for the points lead. We're going to hear from Greg Stanfield, 4-time champion engine builder for Stephen and Archie. So we're going to go heavy into the Samtech Factory Stock Showdown and super excited about it. In fact, of all the things going on out there this weekend, that is one of the most thrilling. We got cars running in the 7s. I don't know if they're capable of that in this weather condition, but it's going to be awesome. And I'm hoping it comes right down to the final round of this final race. So get in, sit down, strap in, hold on, all that WFO. We got Samtech, we got Corey Mack, we got Chris Cunningham. And to end it all off, South Florida drag racing legend Daryl Gwynn got something very cool going on this weekend. You know, Daryl is heavily involved in multiple motorsports, and he is going to get the opportunity to do something spectacular. They're going to be doing their own Facebook Live of this event. I want to tell you right now, but I also want to save it for Daryl to tell you. because it is just very, very cool. It has to do with Martin Truex Jr. and Darrell Gwynn racing at 170 miles per hour. I'll let you just think about it because it is very, very cool. So we got a great show for you. All kinds of good stuff going on, getting ready to head for Texas. But I got to tell you about our great sponsors. We've got a great group of people that support this show. And you hear it every week at the very beginning. I love to say their names because without them, we wouldn't be able to do the show, to focus so much time chasing these drivers around and digging into what is happening. CatspotLitter.com, 100% organic, biodegradable for easy disposal. Mother Nature at her best. Get CatSpot. Scott Palmer, looking really good. How about Scott Palmer's got his helmet in the Evel Knievel Museum? That's insanity. Motorsportsguys.com. Amalie Motor Oils and high-performance products to your door. Motorsportsguys.com. That's U.S. Nationals winner Terry McMillan's new venture. Motorsportsguys.com. HusseyPerformance.net. The best, most accurate copper head gaskets on the market. HusseyPerformance.net. Aerospace Components. Go to their website, aerospacecomponents.com. Billet brakes, shifters, vacuum pumps. They've got everything. The pedal sets. They've got ceramic bearings for your vacuum pumps. Got a whole lot going on. Aerospacecomponents.com. Big supporter of WFO Radio. We're certainly thrilled to have them out here supporting us, like Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School and the Dragster Adventure. I'm talking about the holidays for the past couple of weeks. You guys know that. It's annoying to you, and it's annoying to me. And I'm doing it because I'm blown away. I go into the big box store the other day, the orange one, Home Depot. The Christmas trees are out, man. The trees are out. Lights, trees. What about Halloween? What about that one? Yeah, skip it. But if you're thinking about gifts, the Dragster Adventure doesn't get much cooler than that. An experience that will last a lifetime. The Dragster Adventure at frankhawley.com. And we are headed to the hometown of Marvin Rodak. He's actually from Fort Worth. RodaksCoffeeandGrills.com. Gourmet coffee, hot sauce, spice rub, everything good. Speaking of your recipients of the gifts coming in the holidays, there's nothing better than a bag of Rodak's coffee to keep some people happy. The School of Automotive Machinists and Technology, samtech.edu. Got to start your education at full speed with samtech.edu. We're going to be talking a lot about Samtech as the Samtech Factory Stock Showdown segments come up. The final race, the championship. Hangstafers, metalworking lubricants. Their goal is to make you more efficient in the shop with all your cutting and machining process. And whether it be DSR or JFR or all the big teams, Hangstafers, metalworking lubricants. It's good enough for them. It's good enough for you. Check them out at hangstafers.com and audible.com. For those of you who are activating your minds with listening material, audible.com/WFO Nitro. Start your free trial. You get a free audiobook. You get all kinds of great stuff, discounts on audiobooks. Start it up, audible.com/WFO Nitro. That's audible.com/WFO Nitro. And we're so happy and so proud of all our sponsors, plus the people that help us out, like Drag Racing Edge Magazine. I was at a car show this weekend giving out free copies of Drag Racing Edge Magazine, and everybody loves free, baby. You can subscribe online. 6 months, Drag Racing Edge Magazine, 6 editions of the magazine, $24.99. Go to the website, dragracingedge.com. Extreme Velocity 3 Drag Racing for your mobile device, bigfishtools.com. That's Alton, who does websites for a lot of the big teams out there. And those are the folks that make it possible. And thank you for listening. Thank you for listening and knowing their names and understanding that they help us get this show on the air. And speaking of the show, let's get on with it. Joining us now, he is the voice of the NHRA and will be calling the action for Race 3 of the 2018 Mellow Yellow Series Countdown, the AAA Texas Fall Nationals. Alan Reinhart is back. Alan, welcome back.
Hey, Joe, great to be back. I can't go to Texas without thinking about the first time that I ever visited that place. I couldn't tell you what year it was, but it was shortly after it was open. I had a roommate and I were both pretty heavily into cars at the time, and I don't know, I was early 20s, I guess. And literally Friday night after work, what are you doing this weekend? I don't know, what are you doing this weekend? Is there racing anywhere? You know that new track in Texas? And we jumped in my truck and drove 800 miles and bought tickets and went to the Motorplex.
That is awesome. That is a diehard story to just drive 800 miles. I hope someone who's out there listening right now says, if Reinhart can do it, I can do it, and join us this weekend.
Absolutely. You know, at the time, what Billy Meyer built down there was like unheard of, and that was part of the appeal. You just wanted to go see it. You wanted to go. It had already produced some pretty big records, and of course the first 4-second run had to happen by then. But growing up as I did, where my home drag strip was a little piece of asphalt in the middle of the desert, and then I'd been to a couple others since then. But just the fact that somebody built a stadium to drag race in was kind of unheard of at the time, and pretty spectacular the first time I drove and saw it. And
has really held up well. The test of time. We see newer facilities, and we always compare the Bellagio ZMAX Dragway, which was millions and millions of dollars, new technology, and to me the Texas Motorplex stands up. It's still a super track.
It absolutely is. If you didn't know what it was, when you were driving by on Texas Highway 287, you would see it and you would know that it is a sports stadium, but you probably wouldn't think drag racing is a sport that takes place there, because from the road, it just absolutely looks like a sports stadium. And I love the terrace seating that Billy added a few years ago. And, he was the first to do all concrete all the way to the 1320 mark and pass the scoreboards, which certainly helped the performance of the place and has now become, if not the standard, certainly the goal for most. And, there were just a lot of things that he did that hadn't been done before that now are status quo, basically.
Let's get into some of the action. Clearly, on this show, we got Chris Cunningham going to tell us a little bit about what's going on over there at the AAA Camaro with Robert Hight after that wild final round victory. They had to replace a lot of stuff, but they are leading the points and the reigning champions. So let's start off right there in that, from what I understand, Robert is coming in ready to go to try to extend the points lead.
That's, nothing was broken. He got beat up a little bit when the car went into the wall so hard, but, Robert's a pretty tough guy, and he's a pretty athletic guy. If he'd had to get back in the car the next weekend, I'm sure he'd have been ready, but I'm also sure that it didn't hurt his feelings any to have last weekend off. So he had a little extra time to recoup, but I think he'll be ready to go. And my understanding, and maybe Chris will touch on it a little bit more, but my understanding is that they were able to pinpoint what happened and that they feel pretty confident that they can fix it. Not saying that, no funny car is ever going to blow up again, but if you have something like that happen, if you have a catastrophic failure and you can't pinpoint it, it makes it very difficult going forward to know how to avoid having that happen again. And as I said, my understanding is that they were able to pinpoint the problem, and that is something that they're going to be able to address head on. So hopefully that won't happen again, or at least not for a while.
Peace of mind knowing what it is. And yes, we're going to ask him to address it coming up a little bit later on in the show, as well as all the other, elements that went into it. Watching his driver and friend explode, but win, want to know he won. What was my light? What had the body goes flying? Just a crazy and unbelievable highlight coming out of this countdown. So happy everybody was okay, so we can marvel at the amazement of it. But now Robert Hight got to go back to work. This race, and isn't it so true, they are all pivotal, but if you're in the middle of the pack or wanting to make a move, you got to do it right now. Matt Hagan, John Force, Tommy Johnson, you really need to make a move. Jack Beckman, you need to make a move right now, right here, if you've got any hope.
I agree with that. And, we talked about after we run the first two, then we'd have some kind of a feeling where we were. And I think that's the position we're in right now. You not necessarily writing anybody off as of yet, but if you're going the wrong direction right now, you can't keep doing that. It's pretty plain and simple. We've seen a couple of cars out there that are running good. Tim Wilkerson right now has got a really, really good race car. And he also has had some good fortune when he needs it. So he's made a big move in the points. And I think that he's one that a lot of people are watching that maybe weren't necessarily watching when we headed for Reading.
Yes, and a guy like Wilkerson can put himself right into the thick of the fight. Someone like Courtney Force looking to land first blows of the countdown.
Yeah, after the tire smoking issue that they had at Reading in the first round, which was really a big surprise, I think, for everybody, not just their team, but the spectators and the rest of the field were all looking at him going, wow, that car did what? But I also feel like, and they ran very well in St. Louis, and, speaking with Danny Hood in between races, he said that what happened in Reading was an anomaly, and they were able to pinpoint it. And so they went to St. Louis and ran well. Didn't end up with the result that they wanted, but certainly ran well. But they still, on an overall average, they've had the best car all year long, and I don't think they're going anywhere with these last 4 races.
And Ron Capps had a great car out there in St. Louis, got beat, was really not happy with himself after it, but only finds himself 88 points out of the lead. Behind Robert, that is going to be a challenge, but they do have a good car that is running well there. But again, same situation. The 6-race countdown, this is the 3rd, so we're about to get to the halfway point. Would need to go some rounds to just kind of keep pace, certainly not lose any ground.
And I think another car that needs to be at least, keep a peripheral eye on is Cruz Pedregon. He's bringing out a new car, and he's got nothing to lose. That car of his ran pretty well last weekend. He ended up giving away the race on a red light in the second round. But the performance of that car, now that, Tommy's been over there for a couple of races, and he doesn't just have his fingerprints on that car now. He's got his DNA in it, and it's starting to come around. So I think Cruz is a guy that could go out and ruin some dreams because he's got nothing to lose. If he wants to come up there, and whether it's first round or whether it's, final round, and just take a big crack at it, why not? He's not in the championship hunt. He knows that he's not going to be in the top 10 at the end of the year, but that doesn't mean that he couldn't go out and ruin the chase or the countdown for somebody else.
And I like that angle. I know some people don't like that, but I like that he and Bob Tasca also. Tasca, they just switched back to the 5-disc clutch. They've got all that data. Ron Tobler and Eric Lane got that great relationship. They could go out, and either one of those two cars could factor in, maybe even win one of these countdown races. And like you said, turn things upside down.
It certainly would be interesting. We'd have to go back a long way in history to figure out when's the last time somebody that wasn't in the championship won one of these races, because I think it's been a while. And, of course, now that I've said that, somebody will go, oh, no, it was the day before yesterday. But it certainly doesn't happen very often. It would be interesting, though, to see if one of those cars could step up and really take on the spoiler role, as just, put the cap on and go for it.
So Cruz versus Tasca final round then, I guess.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
Oh, my goodness. It would be hysterical just because of this conversation. But, yes, it would be very interesting.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. Give us good weather, and, we all know that the Motorplex is a great racetrack.
Moving over to Top Fuel, where I think, top to bottom, as we said at the start of the countdown, but the story, if it could be more Steve Torrence, it's going to be because of his incident that happened a year ago at this track. He was, I don't want to say he was cruising to victory in the championship and in the race, but they had a really good handle on the car and then left turn into the wall and everything changed. And fortunately, Steve was okay. They rolled out the backup car. They went down the track. They blew it up. But everybody remembers that. And that's really where the championship turned. The Capco guys always loaded in the suite and making noise and going crazy the past couple of years. They are hungry for a win in Dallas, and I really think Steve is really aiming to give it to him this year.
Well, he's got the best car out there right now. I said it before we went into the countdown that I really felt like it was his championship to lose, but I also think that the target on his back is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. When you look at what he's done all year long, the number of races that he's won, the fact that he's led the points the majority of the season, there was certainly nobody that was going up there and tiptoeing against him. But as he becomes more seemingly invincible, then I think you may see teams take chances against him. And sooner or later, if you just go out there and whale away, sooner or later, one of those blows is going to land. And obviously Steve hopes it doesn't happen in Dallas. Let him win his hometown race and then, go to Charlotte. If something bad's got to happen, let it happen there.
There it is, the puncher's chance.
And when I say something bad, I'm talking about getting beat first round. I'm not talking about something like what happened to him last year in Dallas. Nobody wishes that on anybody.
Absolutely, absolutely. Clay Millican, 70 back, and then Tony Schumacher, 121 back. So similar in Funny Car in that if you're a mid-packer here, of course everyone's looking for help against Steve, somebody to throw a haymaker and get him early in their rounds. But that's not enough. You got to go rounds. You got to advance. If you're Leah, if you're Antron, if you're Tony, I don't know, Doug Coletta, 211 back, might not even be able to make up the ground. They'd have to do something really fantastic.
See, the problem with being 211 points back, if you're 211 points back and all you've got to do is chase Steve, then you know what? He stubs his toe, you make up 80 points. He stubs his toe, you can make up some ground in a hurry. The problem is if you're 211 back, you need Steve to stumble, and you need Clay to stumble, and you need Tony to stumble, and that's just simply not going to happen. You're not going to have 4 or 5 or 6 cars of that caliber all just have 2 bad races in a row and let you get back into the mix. Is it possible to pick up a spot or 2? Yeah, probably. Is it possible to leapfrog over all of those guys? I don't see it. And, prove me wrong, but I don't see it.
Well, I tend to agree. Going to be great to see how it all turns out, though. Race 3 and get to the halfway point and reassess where we are. Pro Stock, Tanner Gray, 52 ahead of Vincent, 74 ahead of Drew, 81 ahead of Jeg. Greg is 90 back. I think Erica, 104 back. I think right there, they're still controlling their own destiny, but Tanner has looked really strong, and he's got something to prove now that he is going over to the round track side of the universe. Told us last week on the show that he signed a deal. He's going to stock car racing, maybe going to end up in the Camping World Truck Series. Thinks he can go to the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series level if the things go right and get some breaks, and he continues to evolve and learn. And so this is Swan Song in Pro Stock, and he is out to win it for his guys. That's going to be tough to beat.
Tanner is a dangerous combination right now of a really good race car and a guy who's got absolutely no pressure and is feeling it. I mean, he certainly is doing a good job driving the car. As I said, he's got no pressure on his shoulders. It's not like, oh, man, I have to win. And he's got a great car right now. And I don't know how you derail a train like that. If he doesn't make some mental mistakes, then you're going to have to be darn near perfect to beat him, and Erica last weekend at one point was perfect and still couldn't beat him. And that's just kind of the string that he's on right now. When she goes up there and has a perfect reaction time and makes a solid run, and his reaction time was not perfect, but pretty good. I believe it was 0:15, if I'm not mistaken.
It was.
And his car was quick enough. I mean, that's, if you go up there with the mentality that, okay, you know what, he might be 100th or 100th and a half quicker than me. I'm going to have to be perfect on the tree and I can beat him. Okay. So you go up there and take a swing. Now I'm perfect on the tree and that still wasn't enough. What do you do from there? And that's kind of where Tanner is right now. He's driving very well. He's got no pressure on him whatsoever. And he's got a great race car.
Yes.
Scary combination.
So true. The other side of that, though, I think, like if you're a Jeg, a Greg, or an Erica, you can't try to be perfect. You got to go up there and do the 10 to 15 thing as best as you can and try to, get the power to the ground. I think she blew off the tires. Greg wasn't having a great day. The rest of the team has got to pick it up because they've got a good group over there, obviously led by Dave Connolly, who I think is the I don't want to call him the unsung hero. It's just that Tanner is like a star and everybody talks about Tanner. But Dave Connolly, as good as any one driver can be, and he is the crew chief for Tanner Gray.
Well, Dave Connolly still won 3 times more races as a driver than Tanner has. And every time Tanner wins, Dave reminds him of that. just to kind of keep the kid on an even keel. I don't know if you remember in the Indy winner circle, hey, how many guys up there won Indy? And everybody's hands goes up. How many won it 3 times? And only Dave.
Yep.
But he's, and that's good because when Tanner comes back and says, hey, this is what I'm feeling, or Dave knows what that is. When Tanner comes back and says, hey, there was something in the car that Dave knows what that is, and he knows how to fix it. So it's, they've got it all going on right now. And, good car, good power, no pressure. That's just a scary combination.
Yes, it really is. But still open, Tanner with the lead. Moving over to Pro Stock Motorcycle, Matt Smith, really looking good. Matt Smith revealing on the Straight Line show earlier this week, I guess, or last week, that he wants to do some Pro Stock racing. But right now, he, L.E., Eddie Krawick, Hector Arana Jr., Andrew Hines, and even Jerry are all in the mix. The Harleys have yet to win a race. I know there's only been 2, but still, unlike last year, Eddie just dominated the countdown. This one's still up for grabs.
Well, remember, Eddie went red last week by 1,000th of a second. So, he's got it's not like he hasn't been showing up or that he doesn't have the performance. He's got a really good motorcycle. He made a mistake last week, and I think he would tell you that point blank. I am not going to deviate from what I said when we went into the countdown to the championship. I gave you 4 riders, and I thought one of them was going to be the champion, and I still feel the same way. One of those 4 And it's just going to be a matter of, whoever gets on a hot streak. Matt Smith right now has got a really good motorcycle. They're making pretty good power. The new bodywork will certainly help him run the back half. Ellie Tonglet is as focused as he's ever been. And then, you've got Eddie and you've got little Hector, who really just, needs to get his mind and his bike both in the game, because he has shown over the course of the season, there have been times when he's had a spectacular bike and missed out on opportunities to capitalize on it. There's times when he has been as good as a guy can be sitting on a motorcycle, but the motorcycle hasn't been good enough to carry the day. They've got the power. They've shown they've got the performance. They need to put it all together, and they need to do it in a hurry if he wants to be a serious championship threat by the time we leave Charlotte.
And this is why, I say it over and over again. I'm sure people are sick of it, but this is why I love the countdown, because there it is. It's right out for you. Just go get it. And you put yourself and work all year to put yourself in position, and you try to make it happen, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. But everybody has the opportunity to go out there and win a championship. Certainly factor in. Speaking of championships, the Lucas Oil Series categories stacked this weekend. A lot of racers vying and contending for championships. The alcohol ranks got 19 cars entered, 13 alcohol funny cars, but a lot going on. But I think everybody is very focused on the Sam Tech Factory Stock Showdown. Final race, 3 drivers within 1 point. Leah, Stephen Bell, Archie Cohn, all within 1 point with 1 race remaining. And we're going to have Archie, we're going to have Stephen, we're going to have Kevin Helms, crew chief for Leah, and we're going to have Greg Stanfield along with Brian Massengill all on the show a little bit later on. That is, what more could you ask for? The race, not the show.
No, I agree. When you've got the players that all basically have their own destiny, have their destiny in their own hands, because it's a simple matter of math. I don't care about qualifying. I don't care about the ladder. I don't care about anything. Win the race, you win the championship. It's that simple. And, you don't have to strategize anything. You don't have to, I got to get Joe in the first or second round because I got to get him out of here. All you've got to do is win the race, and you win the championship. And the players that you talked about all have shown very, very capable of doing it. Leah right now certainly on a hot streak. But can they keep that going? I know that, I think I know that Stephen Bell and the guys test that there at the Motorplex on a fairly regular basis. That's not exactly across the street from them, but it is certainly close enough that they can go out and make runs. Now, will that give them some kind of an advantage? I guess time will tell. I really, really hope that the weather's good enough that it turns out to be a performance deal and not a pedaling deal, or not a, who can take the most power out of the car in order to get it down the racetrack. Because it's a whole lot more fun to watch when those things are wheels up at 100 feet.
Totally agree. Absolutely. That it doesn't come down to some weird thing, a throttle cable failure like happened in St. Louis or otherwise. And maybe if we're lucky, and I'll say it many times on the show, we can get a little of that Mickey Thompson Top Fuel Harley Davidson final race action going.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. Just put the two of them together, head to head, winner take all. And I'm pretty sure that if you took a poll of the 3 of those drivers that are involved, they'd all tell you the same thing. Bring it on. Let me line up against her, or let me line up against him, and let's go make it happen.
Absolutely. Love it. Any final thoughts, Alan, as we get ready for the Texas Motorplex? I know they've got a fan fest on Thursday night in downtown Ennis that is growing. It's not quite the Golden Block Party, but they're trying to create something. And I have popped by there a few times in the past couple of years, and they've got a little scene going on. They got live music, they got drinks, they got bars, they got a downtown down there. That's going to be Thursday. We got a Hardcore Thursday, and then it's on with the event. Any final thoughts?
Well, just one thing, if I can throw in a little personal plug. The annual draw auction Saturday night is going to take place in the Champions Club, which is the Texas Motorplex version of the Top Eliminator Club, and it is open to anybody. There is no extra admission to get in. It'll start end of race day. I haven't seen yet any kind of a list or anything of the items, the memorabilia, the stuff that they're going to have, but Bob Fry is coming in for that. He and I will co-host it again and be your auctioneers. And if you want to come out Friday or Saturday evening after the races, spend an extra hour and a half at the racetrack, have a little fun, I guarantee you a good time will be had, and it's a tremendous cause. every dime raised goes to the Drag Racing Association of Women, who, of course, helps out racers in need. Saturday night tradition at the Texas Motorplex. And if nothing else, hey, come say hi to Bob Fry. You don't get to see him all that often. So come out and join us, please. It's a great cause, and I guarantee you'll have fun.
And it is a great show. You and Bob up on the stage, working the crowd, people bidding, in spite of the good cause. It's a very entertaining night. It's fun.
Well, when Bob and I started doing this, and I think the first time we did it was either India or Chicago about 1 million years ago, that was the whole thing, was to have some fun with it, to make it enjoyable and entertaining, and not just a dry, hey, give me your money, give me your money, give me your money. But, there's a lot of the racers, both pro and sportsmen, that stop by. There's a lot of racers, both pro and sportsmen, that donate items for the auction. There's, hospitality packages to crew shirts to, we usually have a couple of helmets, like worn in competition helmets. So there's some tremendous items up for bid. And we just try to make it a fun, entertaining evening. Because nobody wants to spend an extra 2 hours out there and not have fun. So Bob and I do what we can to try to make it fun and raise as much money as we can for the ladies that draw.
Super cool. Alan, great job as usual. I'm looking forward to the Plex, the AAA Texas Fall Nationals, as we get past or to the halfway point of the 2018 countdown. Thank you so much for coming on WFO Radio.
All right, Joe, travel safe. I'll see you in a couple days.
Thanks, Alan. There he goes, the voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, going to be out there at the AAA Texas Fall Nationals, Texas Motorplex, 800 miles. Do it. Come on, everybody. Let's get out there. You've got Dallas, Charlotte, Vegas, Pomona, and that's it. NHRA 2018 will be over. But you know what won't be over is WFO Radio. We will continue right through the offseason, as we always do, chasing down the stories, interviewing the champions in all categories, bringing up some of the finer points. I'm sure there's going to be big announcements. We keep going. The Ignition Show keeps going. We have a great time, and some people will tell you, longtime listeners, that our best shows are actually in the offseason because we're desperate for material, and so we get real creative. FrankHawley.com. Open a browser. Check out the website. Courses start at $399, and I know what you're thinking. $399? No, you're not. You're thinking, what a great deal that is. To go out and drive a dragster and show up with literally nothing and make 3 runs, 1 half-track, 2 full quarter-mile runs. 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, 130 in the quarter mile, maybe even side-by-side racing if you set it up. The dragster adventure is really one of Frank's greatest innovations in that he allows people who don't want to buy a dragster or pressure anybody who has one to get the experience. And once you have the experience, the rest is up to you. You will love it. Or maybe you're just an adrenaline junkie and you want to do something. You're out there running sports cars or getting in a Lamborghini to make 2 laps. This is so much better. So much better. Because these cars are really fast. Not kind of fast for a street car. Really fast. 130 miles per hour in a 1,320-foot track. Come on now. Plus, rear engine, sitting behind the driver. Go to the website. Learn about it. FrankHawley.com makes a great gift. You can even purchase a gift certificate so that you can just give it to them and let them work it out. When is Frank Hawley coming near me? What track, etc.? They've got the booking dates for 2018 right in the middle of the website on the top menu. Booking dates at FrankHawley.com or give them a call. Yes, the phone line works. 866-480-7223. That's 866-480-7223. When we come back, we're going to get into it with our drivers and crew chiefs. We got a lot of crew chiefs. In fact, I think we have more crew chiefs than we have drivers. Certainly close enough. We'll be back with Chris Cunningham after this.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey everybody, this is Joe Costello. When I'm at the racetrack, I am always checking out the cars to see what's hot, what's cool, what is the nicest and best and most effective part piece out there. And what I am finding is that the folks at Aerospace Components have got it going on. They've been in business for over 30 years, everything is made in America, and they are family owned and operated. Aerospace Components is a name known throughout the racing industry as one of the leaders in manufacturing high-performance drag racing products. Their Tampa Bay area facility is equipped with state-of-the-art CNC machining centers and inspection equipment. You got to get it right. They get it right. They have racers all over the country that run their brakes, shifters, vacuum pumps, water pumps. They do so many different things. And if you go to their website right now, Aerospace Components, you can check out exactly what I'm talking about. And if you want your front brake calipers in pink or aqua or green, they can do that too. Check it out. That's aerospacecomponents.com. Check out the website and let them know you heard it on WFO.
Start your education at full speed with the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Accelerate your career as a high-performance engine builder with classroom instruction and practical hands-on experience in the lab, on the dyno, and at the track. In addition to the blockhead and CNC programs, SAM now offers motorsport, EFI tuning, and an Associates of Applied Science degree. And SAM is a military-friendly school, approved to train veterans and other eligible persons under the GI Bill. Start your education at full speed. Go to samtech.edu today.
Hussey Performance copper head gaskets. Do you make big power? That's the question. Do you make power? Hussey Performance specializes in quality copper gaskets to your exact specs. Any bore, any size and thickness. From 500 cubic inch nitro burning Hemis to turbocharged Pro Mods to Honda engines or even big tractors. Hussey Performance makes the gaskets. Hussey stocks gaskets in increments of 1/1000th of an inch. And if they don't stock it, they can custom make it for any application. This allows racers to get their exact compression ratio that they're going for. Hussey Performance gaskets are the most accurate on the market. With nearly 40 years of experience in the copper industry, they know exactly where and how to purchase copper to the tightest tolerances. 1/1000th. 1/1000th. If you're a racer, you're thinking about, well, how long does this take? Typically, less than a week. They want to help you make the race. Next day shipping is also available. What to do? You got to call David directly, 724-318-8292, or go to husseyperformance.net. And one more thing, it's all made in America, including the machines they use. That is huge. 724-318-8292. 292 Hussey Performance copper head gaskets for you engine builders out there. These guys are supporting WFO. Check them out. It is husseyperformance.net.
Now back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Welcome back to the WFO Radio podcast. Every show we have new listeners. We have new listeners. We have first-time listeners. And here's what I will tell you, folks. If you're a new listener and a first-time listener, and you've made it this far, a lot of people, they go 15 seconds into the show, and they're like, I don't know, I hate this guy. The drivers and crew chiefs make the show. Plan to listen to a couple of episodes, check out the archive, make your decision after that. We tend to grow on you. It's just the way it is. I don't know why. Chris Cunningham coming up. We're going to do Samtech. We're going to talk to Daryl Gwynn. But right now I want to tell you about Dr. Hangstifer and Hangstifer's metalworking lubricants. They've been doing this since 1937. And the whole goal is to help people be more efficient in their shop. They have a lot of different products, whether it be highly refined petroleum, synthetic, and vegetable-based products. They're trying to use non-foaming coolants and cutting oils to help you be efficient. They've got more than 100 affiliates throughout the world. It's a global network that's perfectly integrated with their research and development staff to keep everybody ahead of the game. So if you're working in a shop and you're maybe not as efficient as you could be, go to hangstifers.com and check them out. They recently had the big IMTS trade show. Several WFO radio listeners stopped by and just trying to figure out how Hangstifers can help them in their workflow and process. They got local stock and inventories totaling more than 5,000 drums available. Got to check them out. Hangstifers.com. Their products are engineered to increase productivity and reduce downtime without compromise to health, safety, and environmental requirements. Hangstifer's products offer consistent, reliable performance and the best value available. Hangstifer's metal working lubricants on board with WFO Radio. Check them out at hangstifers.com. NHRA.com. Time to get into it. Last week's funny car winner, Robert Height, explosive finish at the AAA Insurance Midwest Nationals. Robert taking care of a whole lot of stuff as he gets ready for the AAA Texas Fall Nationals, and we are fortunate to have his co-crew chief joining us now. Also, South Florida guy, Chris Cunningham. Chris, welcome back to WFO. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for being on the show. I know it has to have been a busy couple of weeks. Spectacular final round out there in St. Louis. But the first thing, if you can tell us, how's your driver?
Driver's good. Has all the intentions in the world of being in Dallas, and we're going to be there to compete and keep our lead. Try to expand on it.
There you go. And spectacular final round. I just want to talk a little bit about all the effort that went into that. But what a dominating race. Qualified number one in St. Louis. Stormed through the field, taking out John in the second round and Tommy Johnson in the semis to set up a big final round against Wilk. Take me back to prepping for the final round. You guys knew that Tim Wilkerson was running, maybe the best he has, in a season these past couple of races.
Yeah, a guy like Wilkerson, you certainly can't take him lightly. He's very capable of running good, especially in the heat. He's had a really good car since about the Western swing, but so have we. Outside of a couple tuning mistakes we may have made here or there, we've had a really good car. It's done nothing but get better since the countdown started as well.
That is a fact. And so going to the final round, you guys ended up running a 4:03, but with a massive explosion. Do you know at this point, winning the race, and the story that I hear is that Robert was just very concerned with who won and what his light was, that's like heart of the competitor kind of stuff. But what were you guys set up for in the final?
It was as good or better than the 94, the incremental numbers up to that point. So it was going to run another 94 at the very least. And Robert, like I said, he's always wanted to know what his line is. He's a perfectionist, and I think we got a really good driver there. But yeah, we just went back up there to run another 94 and make Wilkerson come to us, because he was just I think he smoked the tires in the semifinals. So not like we had the upper hand, but we didn't want to beat ourselves and just make him come to us. So
now the explosion. People have theorized. I know you probably have done some forensics at this point and have a feeling what it is. You could, if you can tell us, look like just a parts failure, but maybe specifically.
It certainly looks like we have an oil starvation problem. So it got the bearings hot and proceeded to get number 5 and 6 rod bearing really hot. And at 2.9 seconds, the rods exited the block.
The rods exited the block.
So that in turn created more havoc, and by 3.7 it blew up. So basically in about 0.8 of a second, it's hard to rationalize and come to into your head and make a decision whether you're the driver, the crew chief, or anything to say shut the car off. So it was unfortunate that it happened. I think we got our arms around what caused it, and we're going to push forward.
I want to talk about Dallas, and I certainly want to talk about the work that went into it. But my listeners, things trigger them, I'm sure, while they're listening. And there's one of them. Like, how do you figure that out? Like, when you got wreckage and you got a car that's been banged against the wall and holes in the block, where do you begin when you're trying to unravel the mystery of what caused an explosion like that?
So we make all of our parts in-house, and basically you go back and you start to assess the short block, because that's primarily the cause of the problem. It could be either a mainline issue where you either have too much clearance or not enough clearance between the crank and the bearing. And we just started assessing all that and scrutinizing it. And then as we were cleaning up a lot of our parts for that was on the car, getting ready to put some of what was left back onto our new car, the suction line from the dry sump tank to the oil pump had an obstruction in it. It had a piece of plastic cap about the size of a quarter, maybe a little bigger than a quarter, not quite the size of a 50-cent piece. And it blocked off the inlet line to the pump. So that did not absolutely starve the pump of oil, but it starved it of some of the oil. So in layman's terms, what it basically did was it supplied air and oil to the oil pump, and that basically frosts the foam. It foams the oil and creates an inability for the oil to do its job.
Oh, wow. Wow. And, so cool that you guys are able to figure that out. I'm sure very annoying when you pulled it out and found out that this is another story of the, what is it, the proverbial 50-cent part, or this isn't even a part.
Absolutely.
It's just a piece of debris.
Yeah. So what you're doing is for 4 days or 5 days, you're scrutinizing all your parts and not necessarily finding anything so big and critical and making you a little nervous going, boy, we got to go to Dallas now, and we really haven't found anything. But then when they found that, that's, like you're saying, a bit of a relief.
You have something that you feel is definitive. Now, what about the car? You already said that you guys are rolling out a new car. Was the previous car, which had been really good to you guys, was it, is it junk? Is it need a front half? What happens to that now, and what are you guys going to be running this weekend?
So the front half was completely junk. We haven't assessed the back half of the car yet. They will put it up in the jig when they get an opportunity and see if it's straight, and whether we choose to use it or not will be a decision we'll make down the road. But we have a brand new chassis. By no means are we afraid of it. We've rolled out plenty of new chassis amongst us, amongst all the teams, and have had basically no tuning issues to speak of as far as it being different than another car. So our fab shop does a fabulous job and give us a good part.
Oh, that is cool. Now, headed to Texas. This is a historic facility. The schedule has flip-flopped a little bit this year as we started out in Maple Grove and then go to St. Louis and now on to Billy Meyer's track. But you guys have a 30-point lead, and this track is rich with history. I know you've been going for many years. If you could share some of your early, opinions about the facility, like when you first showed up at the Plex, what people consider the first, one of the first true super tracks on the NHRA tour.
Yeah, the first year we went there, I was with Daryl Gwynn in '86. That was the year it opened, I believe, and we set records crazily. I think the record at the time might have been about a 540, maybe a high 530 in a top fuel dragster in quarter mile. And we left there having run, I think, a 517 or 518. So, that place affords a lot of traction. You can really let loose on it when the temperatures allow you to.
Speaking of Daryl Gwynn, he's going to be on the show a little bit later, getting a really cool opportunity to go around Dover with Martin Truex Jr. driving. A lot of South Florida connections here on this particular NHRA Nitro podcast. 4 races to go. This is crunch time. You guys won it last year. How is and have been in the battle, every year, one way or another. You've been in many of these battles. For people who are thinking about the countdown and what it does to a team in terms of intensity and, just like making you all be great as best as you can be in the same 6-race period. Take us inside the team and what's going on within the team, how you handle this championship fight.
So the guys on our team, they're really seasoned. They've been with us, some as many as 10 or 12 years. So they've got a lot of experience. And the guys that haven't been there as long are just as seasoned. They're professionals. As soon as we had our incident there at St. Louis, the first thing they said was, let's get this thing back home and get her back together. We went through everything and got all of our parts inventory back to strength, and we're ready to motor on. These guys got really professional attitudes and can block out the tension, so to speak, that can be created with this countdown.
Did you see some of the videos that were circulating of the explosion? Obviously, when something like that goes down, the first thought is, is everybody okay? Is Robert okay? What's up with the car? Who won the race? Anybody who was nearby. But then we got all the news that everybody was okay and everything. And then some videos started coming out on Facebook and Twitter, like fans that were in the area. As a drag racing fan, that was new to me. I'd never seen anything. Did you get a chance to see any of that, and what were your reactions?
I saw a couple of them, and all I can do is thank God that the Jumbotron was there, and it actually kept the body in the playing field, so to speak. So, it was. I saw that one, and then I saw what's been on NHRA's website, and that's pretty spectacular to say the least.
Spectacular, and I'm very happy we can say and consider it something light, like a spectacular explosion. But yeah, not too often do you see a funny car body hit the jumbotron.
No, not at all.
There you go. So headed to Dallas, 4 races to go. And from what I gather, you guys are on the pedal the way you have been the past couple of years. When you try to assess the competition, is that something you even do? Like looking at the points, JR did this.
Yeah.
Take me through that.
Yeah, absolutely. JR, they've had a really good car. The DHL car is running hard. They go up and down the track, and you can't take Courtney lightly. They've had a couple of unfortunate ways the ball didn't bounce their way, but that car is strong. Caps, everybody that's in the top 10 is certainly capable of knocking you out. Even the ones that aren't in the top 10. So you just got to be on your game this time of year. Make full runs, try to avoid the errors, and hope that everything goes your way. And you got to have a little bit of luck in this when you get this far down.
Yeah, so huge to say that, and so true. You need a break here or there, and ultimately we see championships decided in every sport. Sometimes, their skill is a big part of it, but catching a break, ball bounces your way, like you said.
Yeah, no doubt. Like this weekend here, just the fact that we had the explosion and had an off week so we could regroup, to try and regroup in a matter of a couple of days, that would have been really tough, I'm sure we would have tried to make it to the race one way or another, but I don't think we would have been as armed as we're going to be, and we're back to full strength going into Dallas. So we're not letting up, and we're going to try to expand on our points lead if that's possible, and try to finish these last 4 races out in style.
There you go. And Q1, a lot of people say, and I hear it all the time, that's not that races are won there, but you can certainly get a leg up on the competition if you go right down Q1 with a solid pass.
No doubt. Q1 sets the tone, because if you don't get down on Q1, then you're typically going into what could be your best run of the session of the weekend, your best session of the weekend as far as conditions go. So if you don't get a baseline on Q1, you're kind of pulling back a little bit on what is considered the better session of the weekend. So a good first run sets you up for a great second run.
Now, working with Jimmy Prock, you guys have told me in the past that you have an interesting relationship in that you started to work together and then you really hit it off, and you guys are yin and yang. I don't want to solidify the yin and yang in that he's always the aggressive guy and you're always the reasonable guy. I don't want to say that because I know sometimes there's balance. Tell me about that relationship and how you guys come to your decisions.
So we basically we look at different things on the computer, and then after about 5 or 10 minutes of assessing a run, we throw down what we think we should do in a pile, and then obviously someone's got to be the final guy, and Jimmy's that guy. He's been more than welcoming in my input, and we come to an agreement 9 times out of 10. Do we ever walk up there and he either doesn't agree with me or I don't agree with him? We have that settled before we leave, and then it's just down to a few final decisions when we get to the starting line. But there's no egos. It's a really comfortable atmosphere.
And you've done a lot of racing over the years, and as you mentioned, you raced with Daryl Gwynn for many years, and I know that was fun. They prioritized having a good time going out there, and they had a good time. The team, as champions this year, defending the title, being out there in this fight, of course you're competing at a high level, but how much fun do you guys have?
Oh, we have a lot. These guys are tight. We hang out with each other on the off weekends, whether it's everybody or just a small group of somebody, it's a big group, so people have plans. But when we can get together on off weekends, we try to, everybody is, the wives and girlfriends, and everybody gets along well. And then even at the end of the night, you just gotta remain loose in this kind of atmosphere. You can't keep it all bottled up, otherwise you might explode at the end of the year. Who knows? So.
Yes, and we are down the stretch. All right, I know my listeners love hearing from crew chiefs because, frankly, you guys make the cars go down the track, and the drivers would have nothing to do without you guys making good calls. But all right, what about Chris Cunningham away from drag racing? Like your street car. Like, what's your do you have a hobby car? Do you have a street car that you cruise around? When you're not making tuning decisions or working at the shop, what are you cruising?
I got a Ford F-150 pickup, FX4. Nothing special about it. It gets me from A to B, and I do have two Harleys. The wife and I like to ride our Harley. We've got an electric glide, and she's got a Road King, so it's got some modified work to it. I took the electric glide standard and turned it into like one of the first street glides before they ever started it, back when that was kind of a craze. And then Harley realized that a lot of these people might be onto something and ended up making a street glide. So they basically copycatted what a bunch of people were already starting to do. But
there you go.
We like riding our Harleys, playing some golf, just relaxing, barbecuing.
Now, I did mention you're a South Florida guy. We talked about that a while back. Having DG on later on to talk about his cool thing he's going to be doing. But also, we just had like a Miami Hollywood Speedway reunion. And, being a Hollywood guy, being over there, like I'm always like amazed and not so amazed at how many people involved in the sport of, motorsports in general, but also drag racing are South Florida, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood people. You are one of those people.
I am. I spent a lot of time there, Miami Hollywood, with Daryl and Jerry and my dad. And, my dad had a 40 Willys. He ran in D-Gas. It was yellow. It's a fun-looking ride. It's called the Harry Canary. He didn't drive it. He was a engine builder and crew chief on it. And started doing that when I was really young, just standing on the fender of a flatbed trailer. And then started working with Gwynn's, and going there with Jerry's alcohol funny car and their alcohol altered that they had. It was just good times back then. Sure was.
Cool facility, right? Most people that I know nowadays, here it is 2018, this place closed in 1992, maybe don't have knowledge of it, but it was pretty impressive.
To it, and probably been there plenty of times to see many rock concerts when I was growing up in high school.
Oh, my gosh, the Sportatorium. I feel bad for the people that live on that soil.
Oh, no doubt, right?
Like, what are these traces? What's going on? What am I seeing? Chris, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on the show, giving us a little debrief into the big victory out there in St. Louis. I wish you guys good luck this weekend at Billy Meyer's legendary Texas Motorplex. You guys got a 30-point lead over JR, but it's still very close, still early on. Most of the fight lies ahead. I wish you good luck, and thank you for coming on WFO Radio.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate you having me.
Thanks, Chris. Chris Cunningham with us here on WFO Radio. And the whole South Florida thing, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, all of that. You guys know that's where I live and where I grew up. And this past weekend, Daryl Gwynn will be on, obviously a South Florida legend. Chris worked with Daryl. Daryl's from Miami. But we had the Miami Hollywood Speedway reunion this past weekend. It is a track that has long since been raised, but we get together a couple of times a year to have car shows and a reunion race, and we had the Hall of Fame induction this past week, and it was amazing because I was shocked and surprised to be inducted into the Miami Hollywood Speedway Hall of Fame by Daryl Gwynn. It was amazing. It was incredible. That's up on my Facebook page, and I'm just thrilled about it. And my point is that so many of the NHRA community have come through, passed through, or lived or raised in South Florida. So many people around the country, I don't know exactly how our community is perceived from afar, way down here at the tip of the world, but please think of us as America. We have a lot of cool stuff, and we got a great and rich drag racing history. So many people, like Todd Smith lives here. He's my neighbor. Daryl, of course. So many people live down here. Such a great community of drag racers. And Chris was one of them. Grew up right there, and I guess it was Hallandale, Hollywood area, and went on to great things, and is still going on to great things. And I appreciate him coming on WFO Radio. Now, we're going to get into it with Corey Mack coming up. Corey Mack, obviously, he's a West Coast guy. But Corey Mack and I, he comes on the show a lot, and he's got something to come on the show for. He's going to be out there at the Texas Motorplex. You know who else is going to be out there at the Texas Motorplex? Marvin Rodak and Rodak'sCoffeeandGrills.com. Go to the website. I tell you this all the time, and I know many of you are driving and listening, but if you're in front of your desktop or laptop, open a browser, and you can go to WFOradio.com and click a banner ad, or go to RodakCoffeeandGrills.com. Marvin Rodak. He's been doing this since 1976. Got a great story in that. Was an auto restoration guy, mechanic, and would go into the break room, and the coffee would be terrible and crispy and burnt, and he said there's got to be a better way, and got into it. And now he is an expert in the coffee science. Or is it an art? We'll have to discuss. And he's making his own blends from some of the best coffee around the world. They have all kinds of specialty grades to choose from, over 40 coffees, plus the signature blends like Funny Car Chaos, which is great for espresso, and it is exceptionally tasting. $17 a pound. You will love it. That's Funny Car Chaos Limited Reserve. You'll be going for a while on that, and just love it. Plus, they've got new coffees in Costa Rica Black Honey. It's very, very rare. They've got the Bang the Blower. They've got WFO Radio. He's got a coffee club subscription, which I recommend. You get on the phone, you give them a call, you tell them, listen, I want to experience new and unusual coffees from around the world that you think are great, and the subscription will start. 817-924-6821. Each year at the AAA Texas Fall Nationals, we have been doing a Rodak's Coffee and Grills meetup. Typically, it takes place at Marvin's shop where he roasts all the coffee. This year, we're moving it to the Fan Fest in downtown Ennis. Why are we doing that? We honestly felt a little antisocial. The entire NHRA community is right there in downtown Ennis, and we're going to go to Fort Worth and be by ourselves. So we've decided to bring the whole crew out there. Marvin Rodak and Bobby Graham, and just the whole world is going to be out there hanging out in and amongst the NHRA Fan Fest in downtown Ennis. And we're going to try to make this thing as big as possible and have a great time and enjoy ourselves as best as we can. And there's restaurants and shops and music, and it's been really cool. And I've scouted it, by the way. If you're wondering, like, is this really cool, Joe? Yes, it is. And Marvin will be out there. So you want to meet Marvin. Marvin will be signing autographs from 6 to 6:15. I'm kidding. You can ask him for an autograph anytime you want. Him and Bobby Graham will be at the table together. And you're like, who's Bobby Graham? He's one of the WFO celebrities that we have created on the show. 817-924-6821, RodaksCoffeeandGrills.com. We'll be back with Corey McClanathan after this.
It ain't just wide open, it's WFO.
Oh, the sound of a tiny kitten. How great is that? Maybe you should get one. But then what are you going to do about the litter box? The only downside to having a cat. The litter box, like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with the litter box? And the answer is CatSpotLitter.com. The folks at CatSpot have developed something new. Their litter is made with one simple ingredient, and that's coconut. It has no harmful allergens, no chemicals for your feline friend or you, because you got to get in there. CatSpot is 100% all natural. It's both odor eliminating and hypoallergenic. It's made right here in America, and the best part about it is they support NHRA Mellow Yellow Drag Racing on the side of Scott Palmer's car, guys like Dom Lagana, guys like Joe Costello and WFO Radio. That guy is awful. CatSpotLitter.com. You got to check it out. New supporter of WFO Radio.
Download the WFO Radio app. It's sports radio for racing fans.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The ultimate racing show, including WFO Radio NHRA Nitro, WFO Radio Ignition, the WFO Radio NASCAR Tailgate Party, news, videos, push notifications, and more.
I just hope I'm part of it.
Go to the App Store or Android Market. Search WFO Radio and download it now.
Hey, racers and race fans, I want to tell you about the motorsports guys. Terry McMillan from Elkhart, Indiana, has got a new venture, and we want you to hit the website. They've got all kinds of great new parts, pieces, filters, oils on there, including Amelie's new Pro Racing 70 oil with Molly. It's used by many professional drag racers, including Terry McMillan, for larger turning curves and avoiding those drop cylinder moments. It saves bearings and crankshafts and provides more compression with better ring seal and less fuel in your oil. You can get it at motorsportsguys.com. We'll carry Amalie, they carry Wolf's Head Oil and Lubricants, Molly Filters, K&N Filters, All-Star Performance Racing, and high-performance parts from Motor State Distributing and Lane Automotive. It's going to be a one-stop shop. They're going to have it all. But most importantly, oil, Amalie, better than it has to be since 1903, available at motorsportsguys.com. Check it out. Bookmark it, motorsportsguys.com. Terry McMillan stepping up as a supporter of WFO Radio. Check them out, motorsportsguys.com.
WFO Radio is brought to you in part by Extreme Velocity 3 Drag Racing. Download for your mobile device. Win your way on the show. WFO.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Podcast, baby, podcast. Everybody's podcasting. You know, I had a long career in talk radio, AM sports talk radio in Miami. Then I went on to XM satellite radio. I worked on NASCAR radio. I worked at XM Sports Nation. And after doing that for a while and not wanting to have to be transient, as so many radio guys are, this podcast thing, I started doing it and absolutely love it. I'm able to stay in sunny South Florida and do the show that I've always done to a worldwide audience, which is just amazing. And you get to meet and know all kinds of great people around the world, listeners. And it's amazing because every time I run into one out there in the public and they're like, no, we know the show, we listen to the show, it just blows my mind. It really does. It really does. And podcasting is exploding. Everyone is getting in and doing it, and they're realizing what they can do, and I welcome it. I welcome the fact that others are realizing that this is a fun way to interact with people. Yeah, you could compose a tweet and tweet out your letters and let people look at your little letters and think what they want to think about your tweet. Or you could put together an audio experience for them to listen to and actually connect with them with your personality. And that's what I think we do. And we give our guests, Corey Mack coming up, and everybody an opportunity to listen while they work. You know, they're doing their own thing. They're driving. They're working in the shop. They're doing whatever it is that they're doing. And they listen in the background. And that's where audible.com/WFO Nitro comes in. Audible.com, great deal. Membership includes one free audiobook a month, exclusive sales, 30% off all regularly priced books. And you can start your free trial by going to audible.com/WFO Nitro. This is for people who like to listen. You like to listen to things while you're working. They've got the Great Listen Guarantee. If you didn't like it, you can swap it. Your library is accessible at any time, right from your smartphone. And unlike streaming and rental services, the books are yours. You own them. You can download and listen on any iOS device, Android, Amazon Fire tablets, Windows Phone. They've got free apps for all of them. And Audible content includes unmatched selection of audiobooks, original audio shows, news, comedy, all from leading audiobook publishers, broadcasters, entertainers. Entertainers. I love that. That's what I am. I'm a low-level entertainer, like a lounge singer. Magazine, newspaper publishers, all on audible.com. It is great. And one of our WFO radio listeners who signed up for audible.com/WFO Nitro, because that is our unique promo code, has compiled a list for us of great automotive themed audiobooks that are available, like Rush to Glory, the story that inspired the movie Rush with James Hunt and Niki Lauda. Go Like Hell, the story of the Ford GT40 program. How cool would it be to listen to that? Driving Like Crazy, a 2009 book by P.J. O'Rourke. That's funny stuff about cars. The Limit, the story of Phil Hill, who goes on to win the Grand Prix championship. Plus interesting stuff like Our Final Invention, Artificial Intelligence and the End of the Human Era. That's frightening to me, but something I am interested in. Arsenal of Democracy, Detroit in World War II, Arming the World. How, as General Motors goes, so goes the country, they used to say. And the Big Three really helped us win World War II. Something that not a lot of people tend to think about anymore. Audible.com/WFO Nitro. Check it out. Use the promo code and get to listening, because you guys are listeners and you're working in the meantime and listen to the stuff and then get back to the WFO archive. All right, let's get on with it. He's back. Joining us now, he'll be back in action this weekend at the AAA Texas NHRA Fall Nationals. Longtime friend of the show and been waiting for this moment, and now it is here. Corey McClenathan back on the show. Corey Mack is back. Welcome back, Corey. How are you?
Thank you, Joe. I'm doing great and really looking forward to this weekend.
Yeah, I'm thrilled that you're going to be out there, and this is cool. Driving Dexter Tuttle's car, Color Fast on board, looks great. How did it all come together?
Well, I've been driving Dexter's car in the Nitro Outlaw circuit this year, and we have actually our after this. So we figured we'd come out and do some testing. The biggest deal is the Nitro Outlaw League runs 80%, and the NHRA is, at 90 and not above. So our biggest thing is going to have to be kind of counteracting that with compression and trying to get the motor happy. And with 20 cars in the field, that's going to be a tough chore to do. But we're going to try to stick to our 80% and adjust as we need. If we need to tip the can a little bit more to get her in the show, then I'm sure Dexter's ready to do that.
And Dexter has always had solid cars, even though in a limited schedule, always had solid cars that go down the racetrack. And let's talk a little bit about this Independent Nitro Outlaws series. It's kind of a cool deal. You're burning nitro and putting on a show out there, and that's, I think, what everybody says we need. We need more nitro cars out there, period.
Yeah, and we've had a great relationship with NHRA, and Dexter does as well. So we're certainly not trying to spoil anything for NHRA. It's NHRA has been my life for a long time, but Dexter came up with the idea last year at PRI, and basically the only real difference is we're limited to 60 pounds of boost. So we have like a pop-off valve that'll bring you down to 60 pounds or lower, and also 80% of nitro only. So a little bit different configuration as far as piston and rod goes, but those are easy things to fix. We're low enough in compression where we can, if we have to, up the nitro to try to get in the show, and I'm sure that's what Dexter's going for. But we've had a 4-race series basically. We're trying to walk before we run, so to speak, and looking forward to next year as well, because it looks like we might run, as kind of along with some of the divisional events, which we all grew up in, an alcohol dragster and alcohol funny car, and put on a show with some of the NHRA folks next year. So obviously we'd love to be, in the big show all the time, but just, you got to have the big sponsors and you got to have the money. You got to be able to spend $50,000 a weekend, and we're just not there. So I think this Nitro Outlaw series is basically geared more towards, the lower buck cars and the people that can't afford to go out there and hurt a lot of parts. So that's kind of where we are. But at the same time, it's been a great series. You get a lot of people that come out that, like you said, just want to see nitro cars go up and down the track. We're not hurting any parts, and I think we've only hurt a couple pistons along the way at all the races we've been to. But we're looking forward to getting out there and be on a well-prepped track and going toe-to-toe with some of the big boys this weekend.
Oh, that is great, and you're certainly one of the big boys, as it is said, after so many years of great success. And what about the off-road truck series? Like, you have not taken a break. You have just expanded your driving horizons. The last time we spoke, it was at PRI, and you were telling me you were absolutely loving competing in the Lucas Oil Off-Road Truck Series. And how has that gone, and how has it grown, and what was your result this season?
Well, the series has grown, and it's getting better and better. And I've still run some regionals this year with the new truck, and obviously I'm together with that on Dave Winter and FabTech. They're one of the sponsors on the truck. We also, as a group, Dave and I and his son Corey Winter, bought out Botech molds out of the Midwest series, and now we're making bodies for these trucks as well. So Pro 2, Pro 4, Pro Light, which is a category I'm in, and shortly after these next 2 weeks, I'll be at my first real Lucas Oil National Series event that's taking place at Wild Horse in Phoenix. So that'll be my first one there. But the new truck's running good. Joe, I love the air time. I mean, big air, turns, it's a very contact sport. And I think it took me a little while to get used to having all the contact. But the biggest thing for me, the biggest change has been, having the confidence to throw it in there sideways into a turn, which I'm certainly not used to doing, going straight my whole life. So it's been a lot tougher than I thought to learn how to do it, to get on the podium. But then again, I'm 30 years plus older than 99% of the kids out there that are in the series. So it's been different, but once you put the helmet on and once you start at the truck, it doesn't matter what the age is, whether it's boys, girls, it doesn't matter. You get out there and fight with them. And I'm learning that contact is a big deal when it comes to these trucks. So the prep's different. I've learned how to prep the trucks over the last couple of years, and it's a lot of work, Joe. I'll tell you, for a 55-year-old man, getting underneath and doing all the hard work underneath for those has been tough. But I love the series, love the competition, love the people. My teammate, Corey Winter, he's been just killing them, knocking them dead. He wins. He's at least on the podium in the top 3 pretty much every single weekend. So, I take from that and I learn. I follow him as much as I can and run about middle of the pack now. And it's been interesting. And I'd love to keep doing it, but, my heart keeps going back to NHRA, and I keep watching every single weekend. I, follow you. Obviously, you're there commentating, doing a lot of stuff in the pits, and obviously, because you and I have known each other for so long, and we share the same birthday, and
yes,
all that good stuff. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been a giant learning curve. Nowhere near where I'd like to be, but I've had a lot of help from a lot of good people along the way. Corey Cruzman and Ricky Johnson, all the people we saw growing up on motorcycles and now switch over to trucks, and Johnny Greaves who lives in the back Midwest, and so I get as many pointers as I can. But it's a learning curve, and it's been fun along the way as well. But looking forward to being back in that dragster this weekend. I've been able to bring RevChem, which is one of my longtime sponsors. They're a composite company. We use all their components to build the bodies that we're selling. Carbon fiber, anything you name it, they carry it. Along with my IBEW guys, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 47, they'll be with me on the car, and Inner Ceramic Tile, which is something Dexter brought aboard for this weekend. So it's a clean-looking car. I think people will be happy with what they see.
It is a very clean-looking car, and it looks big time, and I love it, and I know you're going to have great success and a whole lot of fun out there. I'm thrilled that you're going to be back out there. And I just can't help but think, though, about, a drag racer learning to lean on other racers in corners and how alien it must be. Like, listening to you talk about it, it goes against everything that drag racing is about fundamentally. Garlitz told me one time that he always figured that drag racing was a little more gentlemanly because you weren't, crashing into the other guy and bumping the other guy and destroying the other guy's equipment. At least that's the plan. And now you're in a style of racing where that's mandatory. You must do this. You must fight for the same real estate, and sometimes that means, destroying each other's sheet metal or carbon fiber in this case. That's got to be hard to get to accept for your mind. That's got to be hard for you to do.
It really is, Joe. And these guys, especially in the national side of things, in the regionals, we're still pretty gentle with trying not to get into each other too much. But when you're talking the national circuit, Joe, it's you're lucky if you come back with a body. So it's definitely hard contact. Every single corner, you're fighting for position. You got some really good drivers trying to get around people like me that are still learning. And I think they've never seen a drag racer make that crossover into the off-road series. So I'm loving it. The camaraderie's out there, but I'll tell you, these guys, mostly these kids, and the gals that are out there, like Sarah Burgess and her daughter Bridget, they both run, and they're sponsored by Lucas Oil as well. And it's just one of those things where you get out there and it's game on. I mean, going into the first turn, you're trying to get through the first turn and into turn 2 without having any problems getting stacked up. And if you can get through it clean and you get a good line, you're well out there and you got a good shot of finishing in the top 3. We're drag racing. It's one person in the final for the win. In off-road, it's 1, 2, and 3 on the box. So I really would like to make it where I can make it on the box. I'll feel much more confident and much more like I completed what I'm after. So working hard to make that work is great. But like I said, Joe, my love is still with NHRA and the, Melio series.
Oh, absolutely. But I get where you're coming from because I have a passion for all things motorsports. I get all of it. But you can't be in all of it all the time. There's just not enough time and money to do that. Let me ask you, our great friend Marvin Rodak from Rodak's Coffee and Grills.com, he told me about that outlaw race that he went to where he got to hang out with you guys, you and Dell and others, and he just had a great time, and he came away with it with a real positive experience. I want to know about these cars with the pop-off valve and 80%. Are you running to 1,000 foot? And if so, what are the ETs with these limitations?
Well, we've been a little bit careful, so we're not hurting parts and haven't really got it too tuned up. But, I mean, off the trailer, we run 4 flat at like 304, 305. I've ran 307 at 403. I mean, just need to, lean on it a little bit and get it in the 90s. I think we're set up this weekend where he can really get after the clutch, and with the with the percentage rule, we may have to dip into that a little bit to make it work for us and get in the, let's say, the low 90s, because that's what I think is going to take to qualify with 20 cars coming out there. That's a little bit different story. So we're going to have to work on that a little bit, but we're not afraid to lean on it a little, and put some more percentage in it if we have to, but we're truly going to start off on Friday with 80% out of the box, just like we normally do. We'll just we'll be able to throw some more power at it. So we're getting thinner head gaskets and trying to work on that. But Dexter Tuttle, he's as competitive as I am. He said if we got to tip the can or move it a little bit and adjust for the corrections, we're going to go for it. So I want to make sure we get in the show.
That is great. No, very interesting. Yeah, everybody is talking about what's it going to take to advance the sport into the next 10, 20 years, and there's all kinds of concepts and ideas. I'll definitely want to be standing near your car when you fire up to feel it, to feel what it feels like. Nitromethane is nitromethane, and I wonder, is 10%, can I feel the difference, that kind of stuff. But I'm most of all happy that you're going to be back out there racing. I know you got a great fan base out there that follows you wherever you go, and I appreciate the fact that, you come on the show whenever you got something going on. I can't wait to see you this weekend, and I wish you guys the best of luck. First of all, qualifying, but most importantly, just being out there and having a great time.
Well, that's what it's all about, Joe. I've learned later on in my years that you've got to have fun doing this, and I've enjoyed it. The competitiveness of it, can really kind of get at you at times, especially when you're going for the championship. But this weekend is going to be a great way to be out, kind of reconnect with the fans, reconnect with all my friends that are out there when I'm not. And I'm looking forward to that, as well as just getting out there. And let's find out what this thing can really do on 80% with as much power as we can throw at it. And we'll adjust from there. But thanks so much for having me on the show, and I look forward to seeing you this weekend.
I will be there. That is the plan. I can't wait to see you. Corey, thanks for coming on WFO.
All right. Thank you so much.
Corey Mack with us here on WFO Radio Podcast. Love the fact that he is back. And Corey McClanathan, let me tell you, he's, first of all, a great guy, nice guy. The idea that he is, a game player, I never really thought of that. But I'm not driving a top fuel car either. But we've got a lot of qualified drivers out there. We need more cars. And we got 20 cars coming. What's the right number? We always say 22, 23. Let's keep building these cars. Top Fuel Dragsters. Make more, baby. Make more. Very interesting. Going to be cool seeing Corey Mack out there. When we come back, we're going to get into it with our Samtech segments. We're going to break it into a couple of segments because we've got Stephen Bell and Kevin Helms and Greg Stanfield and Archie Cohn and Brian Massengill all talking about this final race of the Samtech Factory Stock Showdown season. And if you are a fan of Samtech Factory Stock Showdown, we ask you to share this show. Share it on your Facebook page and your Twitter account and your Instagram account and your YouTube page, and take a photo of the screen and show it to somebody. All of those things. Do you make big power? Hussey Performance specializes in quality copper head gaskets to your exact specifications. Any bore, any size, any thickness. From 500 cubic inch nitro burning Hemis to turbocharged Pro Mods to Honda engines or big tractor engines, Hussey Performance makes the gaskets. And if they don't make the gaskets, they will make it special for you. And it doesn't take a long time, typically less than a week. They want to help you make the race, and next day shipping is also available. Now, Hussey stocks gaskets in 1/1000th of an inch increments. 1/1000th of an inch. So racers can get the exact compression ratio they are going for. Hussey Performance gaskets are the most accurate head gaskets on the market, with nearly 40 years of experience in the copper industry. They know exactly where and how to purchase copper at the tightest tolerances. And what are those tolerances? I know you want to know. 1/1000th of an inch. And just to make it even better, David Allen personally inspects every single gasket. He's got his mic out, he's measuring, making sure they're all right. HusseyPerformance.net. If you got a shop, if you're an engine builder, if you're a WFO radio listener, check out HusseyPerformance.net. 724-318-8292. That's David Allen. It goes right to his phone. And one more thing, all machines, everything made in America. To me, that is big. It's HusseyPerformance.net. When we come back, we're going to talk Samtech Factory Stock Showdown final race. Then at the end of the show, DG, Daryl Gwynn, going to tell us about an unbelievable opportunity and Facebook Live. You guys are going to have to see Thursday morning. You're going to love it.
Ready to listen? Yes. Everybody, listen carefully.
Now you listen to me. Why do you listen? WFO, you guys are number one.
Honest. Listen.
Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Whether you're a bracket racer who wants to get better or a thrill seeker looking to cross it off your bucket list, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School can put you on the right track. Don't believe me? Tell him, Frank.
No matter how little or how much experience you have, we've got a program for you. So if driving a dragster is on your bucket list, there's no better time than now. And if you'd like to be a pro, well, here's funny car champ, Jack Beckman.
Hey, this is Jack Beckman. Long before I was Fast Jack, I was a bracket racer who went to the Frank Hawley School. The time I spent there was some of the most exciting, intense, and fulfilling moments ever in a race car. I feel the curriculum Frank developed greatly helped me win not only the Super Comp, but also the NHRA Nitro Funny Car Championship. Frank put me on the right track. What are you waiting for?
Call them at 866-480-7223. That's 866-480-7223. Or visit frankhawley.com.
Hey, WFO Universe. Want something for free? Send a self-addressed stamped envelope with plenty of postage, and we'll load it up with free WFO stickers. That's right, I said free. Send your envelope, care of Castello Media /WFO stickers to P.O. Box 848353, Pembroke Pines, Florida 33084. Do it now.
Hey, this is Joe Costello, and we'll be back to the show in a second. But first, I want to tell you about CompetitionPlus.com. There's a reason CompetitionPlus.com is the leader among drag racing electronic magazines. Their trained staff is always on alert and always asking the tough questions. The end result is hard-hitting drag racing journalism with up-to-the-minute reporting. For over a decade, CompetitionPlus.com has been a pioneer as drag racing's go-to source for the latest in news, race coverage, and high-quality photography. Their trained staff thrives on getting the inside stories, and their columnists study their topics before they hit their first keystroke. When it comes to covering the races, they leave you feeling as if you've actually been to the race. CompetitionPlus.com is an honest-to-goodness, free drag racing magazine published by the most passionate of drag racing fans, who just happen to be journalists. Don't wonder what's going on in the drag racing world. Be in the know daily. Log on to CompetitionPlus.com.
Subscribe to WFO Radio on iTunes. Never miss a show. And don't forget to write a review. WFO.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Whenever we go to Texas, we run into a lot of WFO radio listeners. And I don't know why we have so many listeners down there in Texas. Texas is a huge state. You guys spend a lot of time driving back and forth, listening to the show. But we got a lot of long-time WFO radio listeners down there, like our friends with the Grim Reaper, Fuel Altered. We got a lot of WFO radio listeners down there. Remember, the meetup is out there at the Fan Fest, but we'll also be at the track. We're going to have plenty of time to hang out at the track. I'm at the winner's circle after it's all over, so if you want to come out, hang out. Going to be great. Now, we're going to get into it with the Samtech Factory Stock Showdown. The season finale is this weekend, but right now I want to tell you about aerospacecomponents.com, 727-347-9915. It's a family-owned and operated business, been going for over 30 years, and they're known throughout the racing industry as one of the leaders in manufacturing high-performance drag racing products. They're located in Tampa Bay, Florida, and their state-of-the-art facility is equipped with CNC machines and inspection equipment, and they got it all going on. 727-347-9915. Go to aerospacecomponents.com. Shifters, vacuum pumps, ceramic bearings for the vacuum pumps, all of these things. Titanium wave rotor to save weight. It's all made in America. It's all currently in stock. And you got to go to the website or go to the phone line, 727-347-9915. Call Kim Cussy. Call her team. Tell them you heard about it at WFO Radio and get those unbelievable billet front and rear brakes. If you get the titanium wave rotor to save the weight, that's up to you. But the brakes are eye candy, and they have stopping power, which is just tremendous. Vacuum pumps, shifters, Aerospace Components got the best going. Aerospacecomponents.com, 727-347-9915. I was digging through my shed to find my old school small dragster tires, because I used to have a dragster. Like, remember Don Garlitz, Kenny Bernstein? They had those small wheel front tires, and it says Aerospace right on the wheels. And so I was an Aerospace customer long before I even realized it. Who knew? And I'm putting them on Facebook. If you're interested to purchase my front dragster wheels, you need to let me know. Because they're going on Facebook, baby. No reason to be in the garage anymore. I do not have a small tire front dragster. But a lot of people do. How cool is it? Aerospacecomponents.com. 727-347-9915. All right, it is time to talk about one of the coolest categories in all of drag racing and, frankly, in all of motorsports. Joining us now from the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology, samtech.edu, Brian Massengill. Going to start us off. We got everybody on this show, and you're the leadoff hitter.
That's good. I'll set them up, and hopefully they knock me around. But no, you know, the racers and everybody, you've been able to get the best interviews out of these drivers and kind of talk about their personal lives, getting to know these guys, which, you know, really helps relate the fans to this sport, and it just helps it grow a lot more. When you can go and interview champions like Greg Stanfield and Kevin Helms, and they can talk about their impact on this sport and kind of how they, or this class rather, and how they see this class evolving and why they're in this class. It's a big deal. And again, to have those former champions and such great drivers that we have currently, it shows that we've got a great class.
8 championships between the two crew chiefs / tuners. And, you know, Greg is more the engine builder for Steven, and I guess Aaron is the tuner. You know, I'd have to, and I'll speak with Greg as best as I can to talk about the defined positions, but he's got 4 championships, and Kevin Helms has got 4 championships, and that makes this a clash of the Titans.
It really does. And, you know, especially you've got these true dedicated sportsman racers, Stephen Bell, Arthur Cohn, and I mean, some crazy stuff could happen where Aaron Stansfield even wins this title this coming weekend. But and then you have, you know, the pro driver and Leah Pritchett. It's kind of the David versus Goliath kind of thing is how some of the fans are looking at it with DSR versus Stanfield power. But it's a pretty even playing field right now. The Dodgers have dominated the back half of the season, well, more than that, and it is battle of two great minds in Stanfield and Helms that are going to get these cars into victory lane.
Now, for Aaron to win, though, that would require, I understand mathematically he is not eliminated, but it would
Right.
that would be one of the greatest comebacks ever to come from fourth to first in the final race.
So it would have to be Steven, Archie, and Leah all going out in the first round, which would be shocking, obviously. And then I think it would go down to tiebreakers because Aaron would then be in a three-way tie with his teammates, Stephen Bell and Arthur Cohn, if my math is correct. And then I think it would go, so the tiebreakers would be head-to-head, and I think Stephen's got them at least twice, and Archie's might have them once. So then it becomes Bell versus Archie, and I don't know that they've raced each other this season. I think they've done a pretty good job as teammates of staying on other sides of the ladder, and I don't remember them coming up against each other at all.
That having all been said, I really find it hard to believe that all three of those racers are going out first round. And I'm more expecting what we saw earlier this year at the U.S. Nationals in the Mickey Thompson Top Fuel Harley-Davidson category, where the two championship contenders went through eliminations. They made it to the final round, and we had one run literally for everything that matters.
Yeah, I think that, smart money is probably on the finalists being Stanfield Power and DSR, Kevin Helms, Tony Bischoff Power there. Like we saw at the U.S. Nationals and like what we saw a couple weekends ago in St. Louis. You can't count Mark out at all. He's been in the car, not full season. He's going to probably get into the top 10 in points, maybe even be able to crack the top 5 from the 12th position. With some of our racers not competing this weekend, there's a big battle to still get into the top 10 and try to get those single-digit numbers on the sides of the cars for next year.
Big deal. Yeah, Mark Powick out there, kind of as a blocker, but really he's got his own he wants to score an event win, and he wants to get out there, but he's got a very quick and fast car that can do a lot of damage in this field. When we look at the season 2018, we've been fortunate to have you on each week and preview every race, and I'm thinking about, this is a breakout banner year for Factory Stock Showdown. David Barton winning the championship a year ago, going winless this year, other players rising to the top, the rise of DSR, but also Stanfield on par with DSR. I think it elevates Greg Stanfield and Stanfield Racing Engines to battle against Don Schumacher Racing, to just be in a fight against Don Schumacher Racing. I think people say, wow, Greg Stanfield Racing Engines, they're battling Don Schumacher. The eyes of the drag racing community within and outside the NHRA on this category, on this race. Give me your opinion and thoughts about the way the season has gone and what it means to the category overall in the future.
It's something that the fans can relate to. They look at it and they see Mark in the class and they see Leah in the class and the DSR Power. And of course you've got Alan Johnson and Roy in the class. And so the fans from the old school days and into the 90s and into the early 2000s. And Alan hasn't been retired long enough. But there are still fans of theirs that are coming and watching us because we have these names that people recognize. You still walk around the pits and you see, Mark Pout T-shirts from the 90s and Stanfield Pro Stock shirts and Leah's Pro Mod shirts. They're fans of racing that are watching us, not just, the crazy feelings you get from the Nitro categories and not to take anything away from what they do, but the people who know racing really enjoy this class. Whereas, the casual fan and the casual observer really love the Nitro categories. And as much as I love the Nitro categories, there's a lot of technical expertise that goes into this class, as it does with the Nitro categories, that maybe the common fan doesn't really understand, but the true diehard NHRA fans really know what this class is all about. And to have names like Stanfield and DSR, and again, that's, the Tony Bischoff built engines from them. It's a big deal. And to be at the end of the season and have those names, be at the top of the leaderboard here, that's pretty big for the class. Again, it just gets more eyeballs on us, and it says, oh, hey, I remember when Greg and Scrap were racing in Pro Stock, and I remember Mark, and I remember Alan, and I remember, Leah is still, coming up and coming driver. She's winning events obviously in Nitro, but but I don't think we've seen her at her peak yet in the pro categories. And so for her to be here in all of these, retired quote unquote drivers that we have in our class, it really gets a lot of eyeballs on it. And that's incredible.
Absolutely. Now, last year, and I'm quite sure you have a schedule for when you're going to discuss what's up for next year and potential changes that you may want to make for next year to increase the betterment and participation of the category. Perhaps you can put some out on the table, things you guys are thinking about for us, like what we can hope to expect in the future. Perhaps not. I want to float that. I know you're probably discussing with NHRA, but here we are culminating a season that I think, if I had to just guess anecdotally, the category has grown, doubled and changed from 1 year ago.
I think that, there's a lot of racers, whether that's the pro guys or even pro mod or some racers that have been out of the sport for a while that are looking at this class and saying, okay, I want to be involved in it. And they're kind of took this year, did some homework, saw what it's going to take. And they know that there are things that Ford, Dodge, and Chevrolet are all working on for next season to try to keep the parity up, so that any given weekend it's not going to be Ford and Chevy running away with this class. Chevy and Dodge running away with this class, and so I know Ford is working on some things, and hopefully they'll have an announcement soon. And same with Chevrolet, and same with Dodge. Some people will say that Dodge doesn't need it, but anything to get the parity the same is what we want. We don't want anybody running away with this class, kind of the way that Pro Stock has. For next year, we're talking about adding at least one event. Obviously that would put us at a new track, maybe swapping a couple tracks out, but the Gators we're going to start our season there. We'll obviously be at the U.S. Nationals. We'll be at the Summit Nationals in Norwalk. Those are just three incredible tracks that we wouldn't want to get away from. And it falls in the schedule perfectly for where we are. And we're still exploring a couple other options, but I pushed for the last couple of years to get us running 4 wide at Charlotte, and we'll see if we can at least do that in qualifying. Maybe next year if we go back to that race, and so there's some big things coming, I think, and just always trying to do what's best for the class while also expanding the reach of the class.
So exciting. The final race of the 2018 Samtech Factory Stock Showdown season this weekend at the Texas Motorplex AAA Texas Fall Nationals. I am super stoked. Now, one of my listeners started tweeting out some photos the other day of Samtech students around a dyno in an engine competition. We always like to ask about what's going on over there at the school. I thought that was cool. What was going on? How did they do? Give us the lowdown.
So right now, we have 2 official school engines up at the Hot Rod Magazine Engine Masters Challenge presented by JE Pistons at the JE Pistons facility outside of Cleveland, Ohio. And we ran first thing yesterday morning. One of the engines did, and the other engine is actually on the dyno right now. If you go to the JE Pistons Facebook page, you'll be able to see some recaps and some of the live video. As Joe and I talked about this, it won't be live, obviously, but it's pretty interesting competition. They have 2 different classes, and it is building power to cubic inches, and there's a formula for how they score these engines so that you can bring in a wide variety. It's almost like stock eliminator racing in that you have this wider variety, or sports racing in general, of different engines combinations that you can run. And they're kind of handicapping it with the formulas that they use for these classes. But ran yesterday, wasn't the best pull. We kind of shot for the moon and had some issues, and so that engine didn't do too well. Our second engine, like I said, is getting ready to run. It's getting hung on the dyno as we speak. And then on Friday, a team of students led by Sam Tech. He's graduated some of our programs, but he's in the EFI tuning class right now. Chris Pelzar is going to be running Friday. And that is, his own project that he put together with some of his fellow classmates and some guidance from our instructors, but that is out of his own pocket and everything like that. So our students are getting in there. It's always a fun competition. We've won it in the years past. John Cossey's been the man to beat for the last couple of seasons. Some of your listeners might know his name, but it's always a fun thing for us to do. Again, the students work on it. As soon as the rules come out in about March, the students are working on it to get ready and to prepare and figure out how they can make the most horsepower.
How cool is that? Samtech.edu. If you ever wanted to become a high-performance engine builder or learn CNC machining or motorsport EFI, check out samtech.edu. A lot of great stuff going on, not the least of which is the Samtech Factory Stock Showdown. Brian, thank you so much. I think it was a nice line drive base hit for everybody that is coming up next. Perfect for October as we get ready for the playoffs. I know that your Houston Astros are looking really good. My New York Yankees are in a one-game playoff. We're very nervous. Who knows what's going to happen, although we do have confidence in our guys. It's just one game for the season, kind of like 3 drivers within 1 point going into the final race.
That's it. It's been a long 6 months, and it comes down to a couple days in Ennis, Texas, and we're going to have a great time this weekend, rooting on for the best racing possible, obviously. And we're going to have a new champion. That's going to be pretty exciting to keep the parity up, and we're excited about the future of the class, obviously. And this weekend we're going to crown it, like I said, a new champion. And I look forward to seeing you at the races, Joe.
We'll be there, Brian. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Joe. Have a good one.
Brian Massengill from Samtech and the Samtech Factory Stock Showdown. Start your education at full speed. The School of Automotive Machinists and Technology can help you become a high-performance engine builder with practical, hands-on experience in the lab, on the dyno, and at the track. Plus, they've got motorsport EFI tuning. If you want to learn how to tune that LS or Coyote engine, they got it going on over at Samtech. They also offer an Associate of Applied Science degree and are a military-friendly school approved to train veterans and other eligible persons under the GI Bill. Start your education full speed. Go to samtech.edu today. And we're talking about, kids, young people, your 20s, your early 30s, you are still right in the window. 40s, you just want to learn something new, right in the window to go to Samtech. Go to samtech.edu and be sure to tell them you heard it on WFO Radio. Now it is time for championship contenders. Yes, Archie Cohn, Kevin Helms representing Leah Pritchett, obviously crew chief of the team, but we're going to start off with the man who won the first race of the season out there at the Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals. He joins us now, Mr. Stephen Bell. Stephen, welcome back to WFO Radio. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for the phone call.
Oh, I am thrilled to have you guys on. And we saw it with the Mickey Thompson Top Fuel Harley-Davidson Series. Final round, final race, championship on the line, and it was incredibly dramatic. I am hoping for something similar in this category. You are in the mix. You've got a shot this weekend at the Motorplex. Tell me how you're handling the preparation for this big event.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I haven't done much at all. I've been so busy at work, and but I can promise you this, Mike and Greg and Aaron, that car will be perfectly prepared, and we will I'm just excited. This is the kind of stuff you dream of. I mean, this is why we do all this, to kind of get in the mix and just have a chance. It's just an honor to have a chance with one race to go at your home racetrack. And, some people have been asking for tickets. And so it's just exciting, really.
Yeah, we got to tell them to go buy the tickets. Like, I'll tell them, Steven. You just tell them, like, everybody, this guy is running for a championship. Got to go buy tickets to see this. It's worth it.
Absolutely. I tell you what's exciting about this track is that as a child, I went to the very first race. I believe it was in 1986. And I mean, I literally just had gotten my driver's license and went over there, and just to have a chance to win a world championship at that racetrack of all places, it just means a lot. It would be something really special if we could do it. But I will tell you, Archie has had a heck of a year. Leah's car is it's the class of the field. I mean, the weight helped us a bunch. I think it probably helped us 300 or 400. So we're close. And we have to do our job. We just got to keep winning rounds. And eventually somebody's going to have to run into somebody. And I think, just like you said, I think there's going to be a race in the semifinals or finals that's going to determine the championship.
And that is so exciting. The way the category has developed, we have Brian Massengill from Samtech on before every race. And, to hear from Brian and the way it has evolved from a countdown tree to a 5/10 pro tree. Wow, what a great move that was. Expanding the season now to 7 races, but you can drop your worst race just so you don't have to be at every one, that kind of deal. They're really doing a great job. Even the weight, everybody was up in arms. The Chrysler fans were up in arms about having to put on the 25 pounds and you guys losing 25 pounds, a 50-pound swing. But then they uncork, Powick, a 792. And it's just part of it. But all in all, it seems like the parity is close, that going into this race, you guys have a shot.
Absolutely. The parity's really close. And the amazing thing is that how all 3 manufacturers have completely different platforms. Ford's, overhead cam, the Chevrolet's more of a wedge head, the Dodge is obviously a Hemi head. So, I mean, they're totally different platforms, and they all are really close. And I think what's made it even, I really don't think it's the 50 pounds. I think that the Dodge pretty much races right at 3,600 pounds. And so we've always raced about 15 or 20 over, to where in St. Louis we were kind of picking the car apart. So our first round was at 35.50, and we started taking some weight out. And when we raced Powick, I told Greg, I said, man, we don't have an ounce to spare. So we literally crossed the scales at 35.30, which was 5 heavy. So it's probably, the 50 pounds is probably closer to a 70 or 75 pound advantage, which gets it a little more level.
Interesting. And for people who are listening out there, first of all, the category is relatively new, so things are kind of starting off from that point. But the terms of the Dodges, I've spoken with most of the Dodge racers, and they're way heavier than they could be anyway. There's nothing to do. And in fact, Leah, being a lighter person, she can probably take the most advantage of it. But it is a challenge to get those cars to the weight as it was. So it actually, from what I understand, hasn't really come into play as much as with you guys. You guys are able to kind of get close to it.
Yeah, the Fords and the Chevys can probably weigh as little as 3,450. So we've got 75 to 100 pounds of ballast in the car. The Dodges are it's a little bit bigger car, and it's a little bit heavier car. So I don't think there's hundreds of pounds to spare, but the Chevy and the Dodge, the Chevy and the Ford is certainly a lighter car.
And there you have it. And you could see that. Like, your eyes don't lie. You look at the car, it's a bigger car. They definitely charge hard down the back half of the racetrack. They're making a whole lot of power. Now, to have participated in it, but also to work with the Stanfields have 2 cars with a shot to win the championship. And really, their combination has been amazing to see the way that in 2018 they have elevated their game, both with you and Archie, competing for the championship. And Aaron Stanfield tuned and Greg Stanfield built power plants are really legitimately in position to win the title.
No, it's exciting. Greg hit on a combination last year before Indy that's kind of been the platform of what we've been racing. And don't forget Mike Stanfield. He's the one that preps all the cars and makes sure that they are absolutely perfect. Greg's done a lot. He's just smart. I mean, he can make any race car in any class go to the top. I mean, it's if you look at his stock motors and his super stock motors and his comp cars, and he's just his competitive spirit is very high. That family, they want to win races. It is fun just to be a part of it, because it's just the pressure for me is to drive a car that's perfectly prepared. I mean, the car's not going to be the problem. It's going to, I always get nervous in the car, making sure I don't do something wrong. So it's we're all like family. We all get along. Aaron's been a big part of this. He likes driving the cars, but I think he enjoys tuning them just as much as driving the car.
Oh, that makes sense, and he is always out there on the starting line. All right, Steven, so I'm sure you got your fan base. The Camaro fan base is split, I'm sure, between you and Archie, and it's going to be tough. The Mopar people are against you, clearly, but that's what people love. We got manufacturer rivalry. We've got the whole thing built up for one final race. Give me your confidence level.
I'm confident. In situations like this, I don't think that I'm going to be nervous. I just here's what I want. I want the best car with the best tuning decision to win. The only thing that I don't want to happen is some weird fluke, just like the final at St. Louis when the throttle cable broke in the final. That I don't have a problem as far as driving the car, feeling like, I think we can do that. I would just hate to see a goofy mechanical failure affect Arthur or Leah or myself. As long as the best driver and the best car wins, the cards are going to fall how they're going to fall. So I'm super excited just to be a part of it. It's really, I told my wife last night, it's just a bucket list deal to be a part of it, much less to have a chance to win it. Like, I can't even fathom being an NHRA world champ. I've got to get to that before I'm going to let my mind go there.
Yeah, you mentioned the final round at St. Louis, and that was just weird to watch, standing on the starting line. Like, what is that? And then I asked Greg, because he had one super stock, and he's like, these throttle cables, he goes, it's almost a stock part, and they're used to going to the grocery store. It's a stock part, not being, pushed through the floorboard, and it's just a different kind of thing. And unfortunate that happened, but, that's racing.
I tell you, I've raced these cars since 2012, and the staging procedure's fairly easy on these cars, other than the fact that they're heavy cars. So it's hard to really get in there and cut a light. You got to stage them a certain way. And when I went to mat it, I could feel it didn't break. It just, the brass fitting, it slipped. So when I matted, I could feel it. So it went on the two-step, and then the throttle kind of started closing. I could feel it slipping through the foot pedal. The accelerator. And then it went flat, and it was the most sickening feeling I've ever had in a race car. Obviously, outside of the issue we had at St. Louis last year, but I was just hopeless. And Greg looked at me in the car. He goes, "What happened?" And I gave him a hand signal. The throttle cable broke. And he's like, "Are you kidding me?" Of all things, but it just happened. So it was, and we were fortunate enough to beat Mark in the second round, and we really just swung for the fences. So Leah was great on the tree and went 8 flat. I'll be honest with you, I'd love to have given her a great race, but I don't know that we would have had anything to beat her. So she certainly deserved the win.
And that's the thing. It's that as long as the competition is performing at a high level, and I think that's what you were meaning when you said no flukes, if whoever wins it, if they're performing at a high level and go out there and own it, then good for them. It's great for the fans, great show.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Steven, I want to thank you for coming on the show. I wish you the best of luck. I'm so thrilled that we get to have this experience, and it's kind of cool. All these little specialty categories, the way that they're all ending up is just spectacular, and I know that there are fans, and there certainly should be fans, and the people that I'm talking to are going to the races to see this category, in addition to, obviously, nitromethane cars, and that is a big, big statement. So keep doing what you're doing. I wish you the best of luck. The title is out there. You got to go out there and seize control of it, but you've got great competition as well. That's what's going to make it a lot of fun. Thank you for coming on WFO. Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Steven. Steven Bell with us here on WFO Radio, one of the Chevrolet contingent that is battling for the championship in the Samtec Factory Stock Showdown. But all the Dodge fans, they're all rooting for El Bandito and Leah Pritchett. And the man who is turning the wrenches and tuning the car and making it all happen is a 4-time world champion in the Lucas Oil Series, Kevin Helms, able to take a little time out to join us now. Kevin, welcome back to WFO Radio. How are you?
Oh, everything's going good, Joe. Good to hear from you.
Good to hear from you. How cool is this? You've been in some championship battles and you've won many titles yourself, and now working on the program for DSR and FCA, and you got a shot to win the Samtech Factory Stock Showdown title with Leah Pritchett. One race for the title. It doesn't get any better than that.
No, that makes it very exciting. And, I heard you mention Stephen Bell was on before me, and they've got their own 4-time world champ tuner over there too. They got Greg Stanfield tuning all 3 of their cars. So it's going to be a battle of wills, and I'm sure everybody's coming loaded for bear.
Yes, and we're going to speak with Archie Cohn next. In that, someone's going to have to race somebody. This is going to come down to head-to-head competition, I would imagine.
I'm quite sure of it. Yeah, and what's really cool is in the points format, everybody has a first round to get rid of, so nobody's going to gain like a free round because they're going to improve more on a race because they've all got the same race to get rid of. So it truly is 1 point, and I'm sure by the second round there'll be some head knocking going on between each other.
Yes. Now we were talking with Stephen about the weight situation and trying to delve into that. In that, some people were, annoyed when it happened. We've seen NHRA make these corrections to try to increase parity. You guys went out there and won the race. These, the Challengers are big cars. They're heavy cars. It's challenging even to get to a minimum weight, period. You guys were the first in the 7s. You guys are accomplishing big things right now. Powell's car is flying, 792, my goodness. But in terms of overall parity, give me your impression.
Well, I think all 3 of them are very close. We actually got outran by the Ford at Norwalk. Mr. Watson beat our best car at the time, which was Mark Powick. He went 807 to our 809, and Mark got by him by 1,000th on a hole shot. So the Fords can be very fast too. I'd say everything's pretty close, and like I was joking with Stephen Bell and Stanfield in the staging lanes at St. Louis when the track got hot. The advantage swings to their little sport compact car they race, that little Camaro thing versus our SUV that we got to get down the track. So it's definitely more challenging with the bigger car. And but we're looking forward to it.
Wow.
It'll be fun.
No, it is cool. Now, you have had a legendary racing career. Tell me about this opportunity in that you're, part of Don Schumacher Racing. This is a DSR initiative. Don wanted to be involved with this for a reason, and he's a very smart person and knows that this category is catching fire. People are talking about it. People who are not necessarily even Mellow Yellow Series fans, they're aware of the Nitro cars and all, and they certainly know John Force and Ron Capps, but they like real cars that are cars that came down a factory line and cars that have seats and real cars. That's what you have run your whole career, and you get tapped to be the is it crew chief? Is it program manager? I don't know exactly how they've titled you there, but all of a sudden, this is a very high-profile position with Don Schumacher Racing and the folks at Chrysler backing you up.
Yeah, it's really a neat deal, and what's neat for the spectators is these are cars, they look just like the cars that they can drive to the track to come watch the races. And I think that's the big draw to it is, they're not so aerodynamic like a pro stock car that you can't even recognize them anymore. So that's the big draw. And then the competition's so close, and we do flip over wheelies or blow the tires off, or sometimes unfortunately there's a crash here and there. So we get all the aspects of everything the fans want to see.
Very cool stuff. Let's talk about some of the decision making that goes into winning and losing. Like is it all about how much power, how early on, based on track conditions, and the way you've got your car leaving? Leah doing a great job driving, but it seems like the most evolved of the launches, not a lot of wheel stands, straight off the starting line, hovering those little tires right off the pavement, and not a lot of wasted motion. Is that where everyone is going, and how challenging is it to get one of these cars to do that?
Well, that's very challenging. It's a lot of balance in the car. We've moved what little weight we can, some of it to the front, which compounds the problem with the 9-inch tires. So, but you can't go out there and do a 400-foot wheelie with that kind of power because it'll get away from you. And then, you got to be careful on the start line. You can't blow the tires off. So it's a very fine line, which, we found both of that at St. Louis. The first qualifying run, we blew the tires off with both cars and, looked like real geniuses out there. So, and the next time we finally got them going pretty good and went a 117 60-foot with Mark's car, and then pretty steady 118 to 120 is really what I shoot for. Anything more than that with the car we have is you're really getting greedy or putting it on the edge, basically. So, I'm going to try to be 119, 120 in that range, and hope that we have the reaction time and the power to go around people.
The idea that a 3,500-pound car is going 119, though, that's crazy.
That's pretty stout, yeah. Right until you compare it to like Archie the other day, he throws that high 114 out there, but that was a really good track, and it makes my life a lot easier when you're on a good track like St. Louis. But I think Dallas will be good. One thing I check a lot is, of course, weather and whatnot, and cloud cover percentage and that type of thing. So I think Dallas it's always been a good track to me. Always been a good track. So. We should be able to put the coals down to it.
Speak about your drivers in that you got Leah Pritchett, who is hustling, like back and forth, top fuel, getting out there, running 330 miles per hour, and then jumps in El Bandito and has to do everything differently. And it's a door slammer. It's heavy. It's multiple top fuel dragsters on top of each other. And she is doing a great job. Mark Powick, former pro stock racer, he seemed to take to it like a duck back to water, although he did tell us a few weeks ago that the car scared him at first. Like right away, he was like, whoa, wow, this thing is moving. But talk a little bit about how they've adapted to this new configuration, factory stock showdown.
So let's start with Leah. Like I put in a couple of articles somewhere, she's a very hard-working lady. And just like St. Louis, we get to the late rounds. I think it was the semifinals with factory stock. Top fuelers are in the lanes, and that's all that's in the lanes. So, she's got no time to make the run, win the round, and get back. I think she had somebody bring her up on a scooter or something and left the car at the scale. And that's quite a distraction, or could be to somebody else, but she handles it great, does a great job hitting shift points, keeping it in the groove, and everything like that. So she does a great job. And then for Mark, like you said, it's like he never missed a beat. He came out and we got his license after Charlotte. Leah and I were still there, and Terry Snyder, who also helps on the car. And, he was nervous as a chicken, but, he overcame it. And the second run, I think he went at 8:18 or something like that. So, but it did get his attention because these things will move around a little bit on high gear down there. So he does a great job too, and both of them are giving me the reaction times that we need from time to time to win the races. So we've really got a good team going, and I want to mention Will Truitt as well. Will's our vice president and heavily involved with the parts end of this deal. We'll sell parts just like we run to anybody, and so Will takes care of that. So we've got a really good team going and a lot of momentum right now. It's hard to believe where we started early in the year that now we've won with the NMCA race, with Mark winning that. We've won 3 in a row and have 5 final rounds out of the last 4 races. So we've got some momentum going, and I want to keep it going. So we're gonna be swinging for them.
Yes, it sounds like confidence is high going into the AAA Texas Fall Nationals.
I think we have a pretty good handle on it, but that is subject to change in the first 60 feet at any given time.
So true. Now, let me ask you, Kevin, while I've got you in that, we're at the beginning of the learning curve in this category. It's just a couple of years old, and every year there's rapid fire changes. One that I thought was, genius was switching to the 5/10 Pro tree. As opposed to the countdown tree, because, it eliminates most red lights, and we've seen the red light frequency go way down, which is great. It's much better to see 2 bad lights than it is to see 1 red light, in my opinion, for the show. Is there something that you think is the next necessary evolution? And if we look ahead to Samtech Factory Stock Showdown in 2019, is there a logical change that we should look to, expect to keep the category growing and getting better and better in the years to come? Obviously, we've got something special going on here. Everybody loves it. We don't want to price people out. We don't want to turn it into a crazy thing. It's already racers. They have their way of doing that already. Is there anything that is on the tip of your mind that you say, yeah, this would make it even better if we did these couple of things?
Well, I think, number one, we really need to go to a pro ladder and put some incentives, kind of like NMCA does. They actually give you, if you qualify number one, they actually give you almost a full round of points. And also they give I think it's 50 points if you set a record or reset your own record. I think that would really help, because I know and most of the better racers out there are playing ladder games to qualify. We're on a sportsman ladder right now, so number one runs number 9, which is usually a very fast car. And if you qualify number 7 or 8, then you're going to get the slowest car. So some of the better people out there are playing the ladder game. So we really need to go to a pro ladder with some incentives to get people to run these cars hard like we have been. And that probably came into the decision to put weight on us because we were looking too good in qualifying. But if you go to eliminations, all of a sudden everybody's, bunched up very tight. So that would be the one thing. And I've talked to Brian Messengill from Samtech about that, and he agrees that would probably fix some of the issues that we're having. And really, that's not it. Everybody is so close. I really hope that they leave the rules alone, and everybody just keeps beating on them. I mean, that's been the way of stock eliminator for 100 years now that I've been running it. You find a little bit here and there, and I think all of us have got the big chunks. So now it's the detail stuff, and it's just going to make the competition even better. So really, just the pro ladder with some incentives would be the best thing that I can see.
Very interesting. No, very cool. We had David Barton on early on in the season, and he said pretty much the same thing, that to keep the rules pretty tight, manage people, make sure they're not cutting suspensions apart and putting space stuff in there to ultimately price out the guy who's like, man, I'd really like to do this and I want to try to do this, and turn it into pro stock, basically, where you have to be the top level competition ability person to even compete.
Right. Yeah, I agree completely. That's a little bit of some rumors that we're fighting with being involved with Schumacher and DSR. I've heard rumors at St. Louis, as a matter of fact, that we buy hundreds of blowers at a time and weed through and keep the best 2 out of the 100 and just have unlimited budgets and everything. And that just ain't the case. I mean, if Don, he runs everything like a business, and I don't spend a penny of his that I wouldn't spend if it was my own. So we are not buying 100 blowers at a time. We're lucky to have a couple on the shelf so we can sell them to other people. So some of that stuff, it really gets out of hand quick if you let it.
I'm sure it does. Kevin, thank you so much for coming on WFO Radio. I wish you the best of luck this weekend. I know I'm in for a great show, and anybody that's out there at the Texas Motorplex, we're going to see this thing come down to a couple of pivotal races, I'm sure. I can't help but think of the Mickey Thompson Top Fuel Harleys. Their championship went down to the final round of the final race. Something like that is going to happen in Samtech Factory Stock Showdown, I think, and it's going to be wild to watch. Everybody loves the category. They love everything that's going on. Keep on doing what you're doing, and thank you so much for taking a little time for WFO Radio.
All right, no problem, Joe. Good talking to you, and we'll see you in a couple days.
Thanks, Kevin. Kevin Helms with us here on WFO Radio. So you heard from Stephen Bell, you heard from Kevin Helms, you heard from Brian Massengill, and that is just part one. When we come back, it'll be Samtech Factory Stock Showdown Part 2, Archie Cohn and Greg Stanfield next up, plus Daryl Gwynn yet to come here on WFO Radio. But right now I want to tell you about CatSpotLitter.com. Do you have a cat? Do you have a cat? It's like a flow chart, right? Do you have a cat? Yes or no? Yes. Get CatSpot Litter. It is better. It is natural. It is easily disposed of. They support drag racing. If the answer is no, get Magic Dry. You have a shop. Use it in the shop. How many times have you spilled oil and you've gone and run and gotten the cat litter? Well, Cat Spot Litter is actual litter. Magic Dry is for cleaning up spills. But regardless, your cat is going to love Cat Spot Litter because it absorbs 560% of its weight. And you can go get a little kitty. Remember when Scott was all into, adopt a cat? That's still a good thing. Cats are great little pets. Some people don't get the whole cat thing because it's kind of like having a roommate as opposed to a dog, which is like up, in your grill all the time. Like, hey, I'm your dog. Come walk me. Hey, I'm your dog. What are you doing? Whereas the cat's like, what's up, man? What are you doing? All right, I'm over here. I was always a cat guy. I've had both, though. How it works? Well, frankly, it's all natural. It's easily disposed of. It's sustainable because it's a reproductive fruit, meaning coconut. It's biodegradable, naturally controls odors, and it's just a better way. But the way that they're going about selling it with e-commerce and a subscription, meaning you just go to the website, you fill out the subscription, and it shows up in the mail so you don't have to lug a big, heavy bag of cat litter ever again, that is even better. But most importantly, they support drag racing. Scott Palmer, Jeff Deal, Ricky House, Dom Lagana occasionally, and WFO Radio. So if you have got a cat, back to the flow chart, you've got a cat, yes. Should you get Cat Spot Litter? The answer is yes. Go to the website, CatSpotLitter.com, and order up. And if you do not have a cat, Magic Dry. That is the place. All right, when we come back, I'm going to get back into it with Archie Cohn and Greg Stanfield as we talk a little more Samtech Factory Stock Showdown, and then we're going to dive back into it with Daryl Gwynn, who's got something just so cool going on Thursday. I'll give you a little hint. You need to go to Facebook, go to Official Daryl Gwynn, and like the page. Thursday morning, something really cool is going to happen. You're definitely going to want to watch. We'll be back after this.
This is WFO Radio.
Right now, though, I want to tell you about Hangstafers, metalworking lubricants. The folks at Hangstafers on board with big racers like Antron Brown and Lucas Oil Series or Sportsman Racers in the Racing RV's Top Dragster category. And their number one goal at Hangstafers is to increase the productivity in the shop. Metalworking lubricants, coolants, all kinds of stuff. You got to go to the website and check them out. And so go to hangstafers.com to find out more information. Alan Reinhardt always says, like, the one thing that DSR and JFR have in common is Hangstafers metalworking lubricants. We're happy to have them on board, happy to have them helping our WFO radio listeners in their shop. Hangstafers metalworking lubricants, trying to make you a little more efficient in the shop.
Get fired up on the WFO line.
WFO, Joe.
954-889-6796.
Just been an absolute joy to be a drag racing fan.
Go wide open, and your call may be used on the show.
Or preface by saying I'm not a Kurt Busch fan or apologist. I don't know where Greg Anderson's ego has gone, but I know one person that's going to be a big-time villain in pro stock.
That's 954-889-6796. That phone line is always WFO.
Hey, race fans, this is Joe Costello here to tell you about RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com. The summer is over. Winter is coming. Make sure you can wake up every day in the cold winter with a cup of Rodax coffee by going to RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com or give him a call. Marvin Rodak, a big WFO radio listener, NHRA fan down there in Fort Worth, Texas, 817-924-6821. They have got over 40 single original coffees to choose from, plus custom special blends like WFO Radio Blend or Bang the Blower. It's what everybody's talking about. Get some for yourself. All specialty grade coffee represents the top 5% of coffee grown in the world. They're all roasted fresh per order. And there are limited edition seasonal and rare micro lots of coffee available. They've got exotics like Sumatra Kopi Luwak, Panama Geisha, Australia, the Hawaii Kona coffee. They've got it all. Get on the phone, 817-924-6821 for Rodax Coffee and Grills.com. Drag Racing Edge. That's the magazine. Subscribe online. Get the issues, $24.95. Keep up with your favorite sport, whether it be NHRA Mellow Yellow, Lucas Oil Series action. They cover drag radial. They cover it all. Drag Racing Edge magazine. CatSpotLitter.com. Got to check them out. And, of course, think about getting a cat. There's so many little kitties out there that need a home. They need a home. But it's the litter. No, now you've got CatSpotLitter.com. So check it out. Cat Spot Litter, new supporter of WFO Radio.
Now back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
We are rolling, baby. We are rolling. If you started off on that 800-mile journey like Alan Reinhardt did years ago, you are probably well into it. And that is the point of WFO Radio NHRA Nitro. Big thanks to everybody who has written a review of the podcast on Apple Podcast and Google Play. Same is true for the app. New app update this year, and it has gone very well. We are very happy with it. And please write a review. Do your thing. And everybody who has already written a review, thank you so much. Look, this show is about the stars of NHRA Mellow Yellow Drag Racing. We've got great sponsors. We got people stepping up, and I appreciate it. Our Ignition show, I like to think it's fun and it's funny. We try to keep it light and have it be comedic and ditch your morning zoo, right, for WFO and the WFO Ignition show. And the more we do and the more sponsors we bring on and the more people help out this show, the more content we can put out there. And that's what it is. It's about a balance. It's about a workflow balance. And we have got it going on. And I really appreciate everybody who has stepped up over the course of the season, like motorsportsguys.com. Terry McMillan, he goes on and wins the Chevrolet Performance U.S. Nationals. How cool is that? Hopefully all the WFO radio listeners have gone to the website and basically get your next oil change there because they've got oil, they've got filters, they've got everything you need, and you can add that Vegas Win Tribute hat to your order. Use the promo code WFO and it'll be free. Why wouldn't you get a free Terry McMillan hat and get your next oil change at motorsportsguys.com? Great stuff. They've got Amelie, better than it has to be since 1903. They got the Pro Racing Oil, which stands for Professional Racing Oil, in 520, 1030, 2050, and, of course, the 70 weight, which is what they use in Terry's Top Fuel Dragster. It has a larger tuning curve for those drop cylinder moments. It saves bearings, crankshafts, etc., better compression and ring seal. Amelie has been doing this for a long, long time. It's been professional racing oil since the 1960s. But motorsportsguys.com has Wolf's Head lubricants and Molly filters and All-Star Performance Racing and high-performance parts from Motor State Distributing and Lane Automotive. What does that mean? Basically, it's a one-stop shop. Add it to your normal browsing. When you're thinking about ordering parts and pieces, go to motorsportsguys.com. And Terry and Jim and the whole team over there really advancing their operation by adding e-commerce to it. Everybody has realized that, you don't want to go to the store anymore. You want the store to come to you. And that's what motorsportsguys.com is. And, of course, Terry goes out there and wins the Chevrolet Performance U.S. Nationals, which is just tremendous. We appreciate them being on board. And definitely you want to take advantage of getting that free hat. Just add it to your order. Use the promo code WFO and get on board with motorsportsguys.com, that Amelie motor oil. And if you're going to do your oil change at home, which so many people do, you might as well just order it up. Motorsportsguys.com. It arrives at your house. You go to work and get yourself that extra hat. Very, very cool. All right, back into it with the Samtec Factory Stock Showdown. We heard from Kevin Helms representing DSR, El Bandito and Leah Pritchett. We heard from Stephen Bell, who is the points leader and started off the season winning the race. Next up, Stephen is tied with this man for first. Leah is 1 point behind. Joining us now, he got his first win in Samtec Factory Stock Showdown and was the first Chevy Camaro into the sevens. Joining us now, Archie Cohn. Arthur, a.k.a. Archie Cohn. Archie, welcome back to WFO Radio.
How you doing, Joe?
I am well. All right, we heard from Steven. We heard from Kevin, who is crew chief for Leah. And now we are hearing from you. 3 drivers within 1 point, 1 race to decide the Samtech Factory Stock Showdown. How cool is that? Are you ready?
Oh yeah, we're focused. That's a dream come true, and here we are.
The idea that you would be running for a world championship, I'm sure somewhere when you were planning and you got together with the Stanfields, this was the reason that you did it, to have this experience, but now you're right in the middle of it.
Yeah, first thing Greg ever said to me was, I'm going to give you the opportunity. It's up to you from there. So here we are.
Wow. And he has a 4-time world champion himself. When he says something like that, it's got to weigh heavy on you.
Yeah, you take him serious when he talks. There's no joke about that.
So tell me about the prep going into this weekend. This is one of those, dot the I's, cross the T's, check everything. What have you guys been doing?
Oh, yeah, we've been getting the car ready and going through, some of the mechanics of it and some freshen ups that we needed to do. The guys at the shop have been, checking all the parts, some internal engine stuff and things that we needed to get ready. It was basic freshen up, nothing major. We hadn't had any catastrophic failure in anytime soon, so we felt pretty good about the motor we've been running. Again, just checks and freshen ups, oil and standard maintenance type things. Couple areas that we wanted to focus on, a little bit of a cabling issues and stuff like that, and just making sure that we're ready for this. Most of it is being focused and just going into the race with the right mindset.
Yeah, Steven, we spoke with him about the throttle cable issue, and I'm sure everybody is right. Everybody is checking their throttle cables now.
Man, Steven's a really good friend of mine. We've gotten really close. I think he's one of the neatest guys and straight up guys I know. And man, when that happened, I think all of our hearts dropped. But he I'm sure he felt the brunt of it mostly. And God, that was just, it happens. It happens, and you learn from it. You move on. It's just another way of losing a page to add to the book, and winning isn't easy,
It isn't. He handled it so well. We spoke with him at the start of the segment, and, he brought it up. I was like, oh, my goodness, that was heartbreak. But he handled it so well, and we get to enjoy this, 3 drivers with a shot to win the championship, all within 1 point. So every run down the racetrack is going to matter, and everything is going to matter. And you've got 2 Chevys, 2 Stanfield-powered machines, and 1 Chrysler. Kevin Helms just spoke about it. You got a top fuel driver, Leah Pritchett, behind the wheel, has been doing such a great job. If this isn't enough to bring people just to see this, forget everything else that's going to be great that we see this weekend.
Yeah, the culmination of the season is amazing, and we're just beside ourselves that we're here, but we're focused on getting it done, and we're well put together. All of us complement each other very well, from the youngsters that are working with us to Colin and Connor and Aaron Stanfield. These guys are awesome guys. Greg is iconic, and Mike Stanfield is always right there with Steven, and our friend is Craig Gaultier and Tim Snively. And I mean, we all took it, it just kind of grew and grew and grew, and we all have a personal interest in seeing this thing through. It's fantastic.
That is awesome. And yeah, Craig and Tim, I get a chance to chat with them out there on a regular basis, and they're gung-ho. They are into this hardcore, and this is a battle. And as much as everybody likes and respects each other, this is for a world championship. This is a new category that everybody absolutely loves, and it's just going to be incredible. So, how is your personal confidence level? I'm asking everybody now. I'm asking you.
I have a very high level of confidence going into this race. I'm focused. I'm determined. I don't think I've ever wanted anything more in my life. I never thought I'd be here. So this really means a lot to me.
And you've earned it over the course of the season, winning races with your driving, winning on hole shots. Nice combination between the machine and the driver to put yourself in this position.
Yeah, I'm happy. Had such a great stock and super stock career so far, where my lights were just kind of killing me and just knocking my confidence down. But each race in this series has kind of built me up, and again, my team, my family, the car, the guys that all roll with us. I mean, it's just really inspiring, and I can't believe that we're here, but we're going into this weekend just swinging our bats, man, and that's what it is. We're really going after this.
Awesome. Now, hey, being the first Camaro in the sevens. I know everybody wanted to be the first car in the sevens. Yes, that was the goal. And Leah ended up doing it in the NHRA. It was Jeff Turk, generally, all sanctions. It was Leah in the NHRA, and then Mark Powick right behind her goes 792.9, just kind of shocked the world with that blistering run. But then you first Camaro, 799. That is still a milestone. It is still a first for the Camaros and a huge deal.
Yeah, that kind of caught us off guard, and I'm curious why there isn't more hype about it, especially on the Chevy end. But it's one of those things you kind of don't plan for, and it happened. The stars aligned when that sun went down in St. Louis, and the track just became perfect for that moment. Everything went right for us.
Yeah, I hope to see more about it as time goes by, because that was a big deal. I just think we had information overload for that couple of minutes, like all kinds of stuff. Like, wow, we're just seeing it destroyed here in the session.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially in the Midwest in the middle of the end of the summer when the air isn't all that great. It was just the conditions just came around, and our car was tuned and it was ready to run, and we pulled it off. It had an incredible 60 foot, and the mile an hour was all there. It was just all the timing was unbelievable. So it happened.
Kevin says that he's got to run SUVs, and you guys are running sport compacts.
Yeah. Well,
he was marveling at your 114 60 foot.
We all were, that's for sure. It didn't even lift the wheels. It just went up. It just went straight. All of a sudden, boom! Car went moving through, and I just tickled the light, so I must have had a good roll in, and the car, from the video, that car didn't even lift the tires. It just absolutely shot out like a slingshot.
Well, I have a moderate technical knowledge, and I've certainly, I've raced many cars, and a 114 60 foot out of a car that weighs, let's call it 3,500 pounds, is nuts. Yeah, nuts. 100% nuts. Yeah. It's like shooting a coconut in a slingshot. There's no doubt. It's a lot of mass going real fast, real quick. So yeah, 114.9. So we're tickling 15, but that's still just like the 799. It's still a barrier breaker. But yeah, we all double took at that time slip. But we have the printout. There it is. There is evidence. Archie, thank you for coming on WFO Radio. I wish you the best of luck. Two guys, a girl, and a championship. I don't know how we're going to name this thing, but it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, and I appreciate you coming on the show and, hyping us up. This is it. Samtech Factory Stock Showdown Championship will be decided this weekend at the Texas Motorplex. Thank you, Joe. Thanks for all you do for us. Archie Cohn with us here on WFO Radio. Name is Arthur, goes by Archie. Become a great friend of the show, and just so cool. On our Ignition show, we talk a lot about, NASCAR, but also regular mainstream stick and ball sports. We got the Sports Collision. We take calls. We put out a push notification on the WFO app, like phones are open, call in and talk about whatever you want. And Superstock racer Craig Galtieri, who is also a part of the Stanfield crew, along with Archie and Steven, called in the show this week. And you can hear him on the show, and we had a great conversation about exactly this. And what was cool is that Craig reminded me that Greg Stanfield won Superstock out there in St. Louis, and he had WFO Radio stickers on his car. And I have kind of a long-standing deal. Like, what is the contingency payout for winning with WFO Radio stickers on your car? And the answer is, if you win with WFO Radio stickers on your car, you get to be on WFO Radio. And so here he is. Joining us now, Greg Stanfield. Greg, welcome back. How are you?
Doing good, Joe. Glad to be a great supporter of WFO Radio.
You have been. You had our sticker on your Pro Stocker. You won the Nationals. You put it on the Super Stocker. And did you know this? We are about to enter our 10th year here at WFO Radio, coming up in November.
That's great, Joe. I'm proud of you guys and glad to be part of it.
And your crew, you got Tim and Craig and a whole bunch of guys. Craig is like a real listener. He listens to our other show, too.
Yeah, we definitely have quite the group of guys around us. It's been a blast this year.
All right, let's talk about let's break them up into a couple of things. I want to talk Factory Stock Showdown, and you're a very busy guy. You and Aaron are very busy. Mike's busy. Everyone's busy, but you're able to race to victories in between being so busy. So let's go back to St. Louis, where Super Stock. Where did that rank in all the different things you were managing over the course of that race?
Well, that I was just out there just having some fun. Aaron gave me the keys to the old red car. Just basically just going up down the track. Really weren't paying much attention to the racing part of it, and I was quite lucky first few rounds. But once I got some runs under my belt, it's like riding an old bike. Started coming back to me.
A 4-time champ. Now, were all your championships in that car?
3 in that car and 1 in another car, just like it.
Wow, that is very cool. And, people out there are probably annoyed hearing you say, I was just not really paying attention, just kind of going down the track. Oh, yeah, I won the event. That's got to burn some people, Greg.
Well, I'm having fun racing with Aaron and my brother, and everybody, Steven, Archie, Craig, and Tim. I mean, we've got a great group of guys we race with, and it's an enjoyment right now for me to be able to race and help these guys and step back from all the years of pounding away at the Pro Stock truck and the Pro Stock cars. So it's been a blast. It's let me do a lot of things that I've wanted to do, in my life. So when you get caught up in the Pro Stock world, that's what you do 7 days a week. So it's been a blast here lately.
And this is a perfect segue. Of course, the victory was tremendous, and but at the same time, when you're working on multiple cars, it can go from, ecstasy to agony really quickly. You had just pulled your Super Stocker into the Parade of Champions and rushed out onto the starting line to watch Steven go out and try to win Factory Stock Showdown and have, the proverbial $5 part ruin his chances.
Yeah, it happens, Joe. I mean, we look at everything we can look at on these cars to make sure it's all right, but one thing's sure about drag racing, that there's nothing for sure. So, fastest car doesn't always win, and weird things do happen. And it was unfortunate. I don't know if we had anything for her. I think we could have got close to her, but the championship chase is going to be really fun to watch with Archie and Steven and her going at it. So we got 2 swings at her, so we'll see if we can get one of them to knock her down.
There you go. And then that we heard from Steven. First of all, we talked to Brian Massengill, and we kind of discussed the fact that you and Kevin Helms, de facto crew chiefs, engine builder, however you want to talk about it, the roles might be slightly different for each team, but each with 4 world championships, right? And you get to clash in this category. How much fun are you having running this Samtech Factory Stock Showdown? You mentioned Pro Stock. You had great success in Pro Stock, but running in the Samtech Factory Stock Showdown, you seem to have found a niche in that you've got 2, you really have 3 of the top 4 cars.
Yeah, it's a class basically, where you have rules, so it's not like all money wins the thing. So it's a challenge to run these cars on a little 9-inch tire. So that's a pretty big challenge. And Aaron does a great job tuning these things to get them down the track. I'm just there as a consultant for them guys. I help them with the motor stuff, and basically I'm just to lean in post. If they have a question, I'm there to answer whatever questions I can answer. And going back to Kevin, Kevin's a great racer, man. Utmost respect for Kevin. I really enjoyed racing him over the years, and he's had great success. And it's pretty cool for me and him to be in a position where we're at to help people try to achieve their goals. And it'll be fun to go head to head with him.
Yeah, this is exciting. You got 3 drivers all within a point. Aaron's still in the mix, trying to gain as many positions as possible while tuning 2 cars that are fighting for the championship. And I ask you all the time, and you always say it's about getting the car off the starting line, and that's the tricky part.
That is the part. I mean, knowing what the track will hold and what you can get away with is definitely the big part. And the pass when Archie ran the 799 was incredible. I mean, that was all we had when he ran that, and I was kind of like holding my breath. If it makes it through 60 feet, we're okay.
Well, a 114 60 foot. Those 2 came on the same run, correct?
Yes, 114.8. Yeah, it was an incredible pass.
Mind-boggling.
Yes, and those things make a ton of horsepower, and like I said, it's about managing it and keeping the car happy and using what you can use when you can use it. So,
you talked about your time. You built stock and super stock engines, which, from my layman's perspective, you're using old technology and trying to wring the most out of it. And then you building pro stock engines where you're using what I would imagine to be the most cutting edge technology and materials to wring the most out of it. Now you have this boosted power plant that feels like a hybrid of both, in that it's kind of coming from the factory, but it's modern. And what has it been like to get involved with these engines?
It's been a learning process for me. I'm all about learning. I mean, this thing's been a real educational deal for me, and I thought I knew a lot with a normally aspirated engine, but this has definitely educated me on what I really didn't know. So it's been a challenge. I really like it. I'm glad to be able to see different stuff, different kind of engines. I'm all about, if I can pick up something new, that's what it's about. But it's definitely it's a cool project, and I'm happy for all the manufacturers that are involved, in this class, and I think it's great for the fans to see a factory car out here racing head to head.
Oh, totally agree. Well, the cars are beloved already. We just need to see them more, and we need some more, competitors. Not really that many more. We need more competitors. We want them to feel like they've got a shot to win. What is your opinion about the direction of the category, in that it's growing like gangbusters and people want to be involved, but at the same time, racers are racers, and like Don Schumacher Racing is involved now, and Stanfield Racing Engines going up against DSR. That elevates you in many ways, but also might scare some people away. Like, oh my gosh, DSR, what am I going to do against that? What do you think about the way that's all going?
Well, I think you got to look at it like this, Joe. This is a new class, and all three manufacturers have different style engines, and I think it's going to take time for NHRA to try to get a handle and a grasp on not letting somebody lead the category by leaps and bounds. The weight change was the right direction. It's going to take some time to get this thing leveled out to where it's fair. In other words, I don't think you want pro stock. I don't think you want every one of them to be 500 cubic inches, to be this and this and this. I think it's great to have the Ford with the overhead cam and the valves, and the Chrysler to have this combination, and Chevy to have their LS engine. It's great to have all these different manufacturers have their different product out here, but it's going to take some work to try to keep everything level to where a guy can't come in here and flex his muscles and throw all the money down and dominate, one particular manufacturer. So I think NHRA is looking at it. They made a change pretty quick, which surprised me. I think if everybody has a little patience and they keep working at this thing, I think it's going to be great, and it's going to grow.
That is great. Great to hear. I'm super excited. Now, while I have you on, I do want to ask you about, first of all, you are racing the Super Stalker again this weekend. So it's not like you're gonna just focus on Samtech. You're going to have a little fun also.
I just get in there and just let it rip, Joe. It's no pressure, just having fun. It's kind of cool to be able to, hang with Aaron, man. This car that I race has got a lot of history. My dad's raced it, I've raced it, and raced it. So it's a family member to us, and he doesn't let me get to race it much. So when I do get to race it, I'm racing it.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. Now, let me lean on your expertise in pro stock. Now we've had the conversation at the track many times. Like, what do you think about pro stock? What do they need to do about pro stock over the last 10 years? And they're talking about doing some things in pro stock. I'm sure you've heard the rumors. They did that mountain motor exhibition out there at the U.S. Nationals, which I feel like it was pretty well received. You're not, racing in pro stock, but I know you are interested. What is your, general thought about some of these ideas in the direction?
Well, I think, you got to hand it to NHRA. They're looking to try to help the classes. That's the main thing. And with the car counts being down, it's put stress on certain teams to try to fill so many cars. As long as, if they bring the cars in, as long as they make the playground fair for everybody, and I know, again, that'll take time to get it all leveled out, I'm all for it. I mean, I don't think that, there's going to be, they'll come in here and dominate the class. I think those cars are harder to control than a 500 cubic inch. it might mix things up and make things better. I mean, anything to save the class and take some stress off of it, I think is a positive thing.
Great news, great news. Greg, thank you so much for coming on the show. Congratulations on your win out there in St. Louis, the AAA Insurance Midwest Nationals, rocking WFO radio stickers on your car, which is so cool to see in the winner's circle. It's like humbling to me. And also battling for the Samtech Factory Stock Showdown as an engine builder with Aaron, your son, as a tuner. And I can see you guys got a great crew of great people who it's very obvious you're all having fun first and competing as part of that. It's fun and it's cool to see your whole group of guys out there having a great time battling it out. Thank you for coming on the show. Congratulations on last week. Good luck this week.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Greg. Greg Stanfield with us here on WFO Radio. And you can hear the smarts, and you can hear the happy dad. And Greg Stanfield, obviously one of the great people out there, very highly intelligent and knows what he's doing and is a great racer. And it's got to infuriate people, not in a mean, ugly way, but in an annoying way, that he's like, yeah, I'm going out, just having fun, making some laps, winning the race. Yep. But that's because he's a four-time champ, and that's what four-time champs are able to do. Some people can find their way to the winner's circle really easily, and others have to fight and claw to get there. And there's no explanation why things like that work. And maybe there is hard work, determination, all of that. But thanks to Greg for coming on the show. And one of my great career highlights was being able to be there for his big U.S. Nationals victory. And he got that one done with a WFO sticker on the car as well, early on. He and Aaron and Stephen Bell and Archie Cohn battling up against Leah and Kevin Helms. Going to be so much fun. Thanks to all of them for coming on WFO Radio and sharing it. All right, pick your sides. Pick your favorite. Get ready. The battle is going to be on in Samtech Factory Stock Showdown this weekend. And if you're a fan of the category, share this show. Copy and paste the link. Send it to all your friends. Make sure they're all ready for the weekend. And they've heard from all the drivers and all the principals and Kevin Helms and everybody. Stanfield versus DSR. It's going to be fantastic. Who can get the power to the ground? We don't know. It is the final race of the year. Super cool. All right, when we come back, Darrell Gwynn. Darrell Gwynn, South Florida guy, Top Fuel legend, NHRA legend, been at several races this year, has got something very cool going. And we're going to talk about that, but also this past weekend, I guess the honor of my racing career, right? Like what is better than that? I'm at the Miami Hollywood Speedway Reunion Car Show / Hall of Fame induction this past week in Weston, Florida, and I had found out that I'm going to be inducted into the Miami Hollywood Hall of Fame, which just blew my mind, being included with some of the greats that raced at Miami Hollywood. I was the final track announcer out there, one of a couple, Dale Hanks and others. And as a child, as a kid, 15 to 18, something like that. But really, the time spent in winning a high school track championship and just being so passionate about the racetrack, I guess they think I'm deserving, which, all right, I'm not going to tell you no. I'm going to accept the compliment, something I learned years ago. Accept it. But then, blown away to have Darrell Gwynn himself induct me into this Hall of Fame. And that video is up there on Facebook and just amazing. And Darrell will join us next because out there, he told me something super cool that he is going to be doing. And I want every one of my listeners to be there watching this incredible moment that is going to happen. Darrell Gwynn coming up next.
It ain't just wide open. It's WFO.
Right now, I want to tell you about new sponsor, audible.com/WFO Nitro. Audible.com/WFO Nitro. And you might be thinking, well, what is audible.com? And the fact is, listen, you guys are listeners. You listen like me. People who like to listen to something while they're driving, while they're on a plane. Maybe it's not music. Sometimes you want your brain to be activated in a different way. And that's where audible.com/WFO Nitro comes in. It's anytime, anywhere listening. You can listen to your books wherever you are with their free app at home, in the car, at the gym. You can even switch devices and you'll never lose your place. They've got the biggest selection ever. No one's got more listens than Audible. You don't like one? No questions asked. Return it means exchange is easy. Go to audible.com/WFO Nitro. That is our own link specifically for you WFO radio listeners. Go on there, get your free trial, and try it out, especially everybody that's in the NHRA that's traveling all over the place. Let's get an education together. Let's learn about stuff. And check out audible.com/WFO Nitro. And thank you very much to the folks at Audible for jumping on with our podcast.
Start your education at full speed with the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Accelerate your career as a high-performance engine builder with classroom instruction and practical hands-on experience in the lab, on the dyno, and at the track. In addition to the blockhead and CNC programs, SAM now offers motorsport, EFI tuning, and an Associates of Applied Science degree. And SAM is a military-friendly school, approved to train veterans and other eligible persons under the GI Bill. Start your education at full speed. Go to samtech.edu today.
Hussey Performance Copperhead Gaskets. You got to call David directly. 724-318-8292. Hussey Performance Copperhead Gaskets for you engine builders out there. These guys are supporting WFO. Check them out. It is husseyperformance.net.
WFO Radio is brought to you in part by Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure at frankhawley.com.
Aerospace Components, high-quality components made in America for over 30 years. Check it out. That's aerospacecomponents.com. Let them know you heard it on WFO.
This is Sean from Traverse City, Michigan. You ever get done with an episode of Ignition or Nitro and say, man, that's a good job. I'd like to give them a pat on the back and a cold beer. Well, with Patreon, you can. So send that drink down to Gio and Joe.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Final segment, NHRA Nitro, WFO Radio, getting ready for Texas and the Texas Motorplex. But there are some things that are just too cool to pass up. And so, joining us now, he is a great friend of WFO Radio and one of the legends of NHRA drag racing, who is doing something you're not going to believe. It is so cool. We got to talk about it. Here to talk about it is Daryl Gwynn. Daryl, welcome back to WFO Radio. How are you?
Thank you, Joe, and congratulations on your induction into the Miami Hollywood Speedway Hall of Fame yesterday. I was honored to induct you, and it was well deserved. And you're one of the great South Florida community drag race historians that love this sport and where it came from and remember all those good days, and we're proud to have you on board of the Miami Hollywood Hall of Fame.
Well, first of all, thank you so much. Deserved or not deserved, I guess that is to be debated, but I definitely loved the place and put my heart into everything I did there, and to be enshrined with this group of people forever. And I think you said it, or maybe Paul Wunderlich said it, but drag strips close all around the country, Daryl. It's happened for many, many years. But I don't know too many others where people continue to get together 26 years later to remember the significance of the place to the community. And for you to be the one to induct me just blew my mind. I'm having trouble wrapping my mind around it to this day, to this moment. But thank you so much for that. And to have legends in the house out there to see it. It was just great. An honor of my life to this point. So thank you for participating. Thank you for being there.
You're very welcome. And the other great news out of yesterday was the fact that we're probably one of the only other drag strips in the country that's going to have a statue or a mementos where the drag strip was because of the great times that happened out there at the Speedway. So the historical department of Broward County is going to put up a monument where Miami Hollywood Speedway Park was, and can't wait to go there and have you there, and it's going to be a nice piece of history for all of us. Great memories.
So true, and people outside the community, I know many came down and experienced it, but to live here and to know it was there, people started businesses and people did things with their lives because of the track. There should definitely be a monument, and to think that they are actually going to do that and put a monument out there in Pembroke Pines, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to be there when they unveil that, and I am thrilled to be a part of it. And again, thank you, and we had such a great time. On top of it all, we had fun. It was hot, but we had fun.
Absolutely, it was hot.
But let's.
But I'm going to be hot on this Thursday too.
Yes, and that's what I want to advance the ball. Now, the show is NHRA Nitro, and you're an NHRA legend, but you're going to do something that I don't even know if I fully understand what you're about to do, but what I know about it, it's unbelievable. So lay it on us. What's going down this Thursday?
So, Furniture Row Racing, which is the team that owns the car that Martin Truex drives, they have a race-ready NASCAR, Bass Pro sponsored race car that is a two-seater. They've teamed up with Craig Hospital and the folks and the neurosurgeon out there that they've built this car, and they've had it for a year or two, and they're going to be giving rides to some veterans and to myself at Dover this Thursday. Now, why is a drag racer getting in a stock car? Well, stock cars are another passion of mine. I love stock car racing. I love short track racing, and I like high-speed circle track racing, but I also like short track racing. So you combine the best of both of those worlds, and you have Dover International Speedway, which is a 1 mile, very, very fast straightaways, and you dive into a paper-clipped high bank corner at about $1.70. Now, Martin has promised me the ride of my life. I don't know if it's going to be 170, but it's not going to be some public relations ride for a picture either, because I don't want that. I'm not flying all the way to Dover to get my picture taken in the Bass Pro Toyota. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I want to go for a ride. And Martin has told me we'll go for a ride. So, anyways, there's going to be several of us, and the racetrack has been very, very supportive. And it's Furniture Row Racing that is actually putting this together, and it's for spinal cord injured people and wounded vets. And I was picked because, I guess I was picked because I wanted to go. But again, very fast straightaways. I wanted something I could feel the speed, but I also wanted to feel diving into that corner. I've been around Daytona in a stock car, and it's just throttled down the whole time, and it's kind of a boring ride. I know it's not a boring ride at 3 wide at night, but one car at a time, it's a pretty boring ride, even though you're going 190 miles an hour. But Dover, there's nothing boring about Dover. It is fast, and it is wild, and that's where I want to go.
Wow.
And
boy, Daryl, I gotta say, is too like that's of all the tracks out there, I would choose to make laps around Dover in anger because of they say it's like a roller coaster. You're up, you're diving down, you're going back up, and it's the track that's the Monster Mile, all that. It's too bad that there's no way that all the people out there on social media can't experience this with you.
Well, they are going to get to. That's going to be my first ever Facebook Live. So it's going to happen this Thursday, sometime between 9 and noon. It's going to be probably closer to noon because it's going to take a little while to get suited up and everything. I've already got my Simpson helmet already prepared with camo on it, and with my phone bracket in the front of it. I'm going to be this I've never pushed the button on the live social media before, but this Thursday, I can't wait. You might hear some profanity as we enter the corner, but I guess that's what Facebook Live is all about.
Wow, that is very cool. And so for the WFO radio audience and everybody out there, please share and let your friends know. This is going to be very cool. Daryl out there with Martin Truex Jr. driving in Dover, laps around the Monster Mile on Facebook Live. What page is going to be the source page, and where should people go? And they should probably the way it works is you want to like the page in advance, and then when you go live, usually it sends out like a beacon. It lets everybody know that Daryl is about to go live. So Daryl, what is the page that everyone needs to go to and like so that they can be ready to watch this thing when it goes live on Thursday?
Well, I have 2 pages. I have a personal page, but it's all full, so it will not be on the personal page. But it will be on the official Daryl Gwynn page that we just created months back because I was at my limit on my personal page. So we did the official Daryl Gwynn page, and we'd love for you to like us, and we'd love for you to watch it, because it's like I'm gonna relate this to racing with nobody in the grandstands. It's not very much fun when you race on a Monday morning with a final round and nobody's in the grandstands. You know what I mean? It's
Sure.
not the same. Kind of like Facebook Live. I want other people to enjoy this. I want the disabled community to enjoy this. I want the racing community to enjoy. I want people to see it, not because it's me, but because it's going to be cool, and it's on my bucket list, and I'm going to have a smile from ear to ear, and that's what that's what I'm going to be happy about. So I just want people to enjoy it with me.
Okay, so I have brought up the page. You tell me if this is the correct one. The Daryl Gwynn Quality of Life chapter of the Bonacani Fund page with the Coors Extra Gold Dragster as the photo.
No, it's not the charity page. It's the official Daryl Gwynn page.
Aha.
There's actually 3 pages. My personal, the Bonacani one, the Daryl Gwynn chapter, and the official Daryl Gwynn page.
Well, I'm going to get this all sorted out right now, and we're going to make sure that everybody knows exactly where to go and check this out. So I have put official Daryl Gwynn, and everybody needs to know that, okay, there are 2 that are coming up, one with you and your Coors Extra Gold, and it says official Daryl Gwynn. I'm guessing that is the one. It is you in your fire suit with this fantastic artwork at the top of all the cars that you and your dad have run, which incidentally also hangs in our studio, except the one in the studio is autographed by Daryl Gwynn. There we go. All right, I have found it. Official Daryl Gwynn is where to find it, and I have already liked it. I will share this all over the place. Here it is. The countdown begins. Look at that.
Yes, 3 days to begin. 3 days till I go there, and I can't wait. It's just going to be. I don't get to experience anything like that anymore. My life was all about speed for so many years, and speed is one thing, but when you feel going into that corner, I'm one of those guys that laugh at the people that that think that NASCAR, oh my God, it's just a bunch of guys going around in circles.
Yeah.
They're the greatest drivers on this planet. I've watched them dive into these corners like nobody would ever dive into one of these corners, and Formula One guys have tried to run NASCAR. Indy guys have tried to run NASCAR. NASCAR guys go over and run that stuff, and they do well. Those guys come over here, they can't hit their rear. So it tells me that these NASCAR drivers are the best drivers in the world, and I believe it.
So let me ask you this, in terms of, your personal experiences since your incident with speed like this. Okay, I would imagine, you go on planes a lot. So when a plane takes off, there's a little bit of a rush. Many people get frightened by that, taking off in a jet. I'm sure that's, no big deal to you, but a little rush of G-forces. And you mentioned you were out there at Daytona, which I've heard everybody say the same thing that you said, that it's, static speed. Once you're wide open and used to it, there's no other cars out there. It's kind of like, going 70 on the highway. Have you done anything?
You do feel the inertia. You feel the G-forces in the corner, and, the car feels like it's trying to slide out from underneath you. You feel all that. But, again, there's not a lot of skill involved when one car is out there at a time, versus Dover. You better have you can't, that's not a racetrack you can blink at.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
Things happen too fast there.
Yes. Now, Martin is probably a little, aggravated in that he had a win in his hands out there at the Roval, and Jimmy Johnson, who is one of the greats and obviously was going for the win, and we're going to talk about that on Ignition later on in the week, but took them both out. Ryan Blaney wins the race. Hopefully Martin's over that. He doesn't want to, or maybe you want him to take some aggression out.
Hey, I hope I hope he wakes up that morning with a rock in his shoe and his foot's bleeding by the time he gets to put me in the car, because I want him to be madder than hell and take me for one hell of a ride.
Wow, that is super cool. All right, everybody, it's on Facebook. Official Daryl Gwynn, and you'll see DG in his Coors Extra Gold fire suit. and that is the page. You're going to want to go there and like it, and be ready Thursday morning. And we cannot give you an exact time because that is just the way these things go, these ride-alongs. As much as you want to schedule any one thing at any time, it's just impossible. So just be aware on Thursday morning. Watch for the beacon. It'll go out. Daryl is about to start a Facebook Live. Daryl, hopefully you guys are able to start it a couple of minutes early before you go out on track, just so we can all get in position to watch. And I am super stoked for you. That's going to be great.
I appreciate it. I'm, it's on the bucket list, and I'm gonna scratch it off when I leave there.
Now, let me ask you this, just back to tie them together, the Miami Hollywood thing. And I think about people who listen to this show. They're all around the world, frankly. We got a lot of people down in Oz that listen, and our little track was really a cool facility. They had a circle track, a high banked, like 3/8 mile oval there as well. When I started to consciously arrive at the track, as a slightly older person, they had stopped using the place, and so I never got to see it operate.
Right?
Did you go there?
Watched many of races there, late model, super modifieds, very racy, high banked track. Another shame that it's gone. But Florida is a hotbed for motorsports, just like California was. Because our weather's good year round, and this place was full of racetracks, and they're slowly dying off, but we sure haven't forgot about them. And we enjoyed our days. They had concrete grandstands, and they actually had shops underneath the grandstands, similar to like when you watch the old Steve McQueen movies and stuff. When we come in from from one of his Formula One pit stops that go in a garage under the grandstands. That's how far ahead they were. They had an auto parts store under the grandstands. Right. I remember the name, Terry's Auto Supply.
Kind of like Raceway Park, right?
What's that?
Kind of like Raceway Park at Englishtown, where under the grandstands they were commerce areas.
That's right.
Amazing.
And I've seen everything happen in drag racing that could possibly ever happen. I've seen it at Miami Hollywood. Before I was 15 years old, I saw it all. You know what I mean? It was one of those kind of tracks.
Yeah.
Jungle Jim was there once a month, and they had the funny cars, loads of funny cars every month. And I think you and I talked yesterday about the guy my dad pulled behind the race car.
Yes.
with his his titanium skids on, and I mean, you got to remember Ken Carter and Bruce Johnson and Norman Johnson were the promoters of this place, and they had Hercules out there. He'd be in between oil downs or runs. He'd get out there and lay on a bed of nails while somebody took a sledgehammer and broke a cinder block on his chest while he was eating a light bulb. I mean, I can't make this stuff up, Joe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I remember the skid plate.
This was like a Humpy Wheeler mentality back in the day,
Well, it was the place was made in 1966, and so its golden era was, through the 70s and early 80s, which you don't have to be a historian to know that was a wild time in the world. Like pre-PC, like Studio 54 was happening in New York. You can imagine what's the kind of stuff that's happening everywhere out at the Sportatorium, which was a giant concert venue that was going on. Crazy stuff was going on, and the shows at Miami Hollywood, they had to be spectacular. And I remember, Daryl, and I'm sure you remember, that it had a giant parking lot, and yet cars would be parked way down the road there, which is now Pines Boulevard, like miles. People would walk because there was just nowhere else to park.
Yep. And, my dad was like the hometown guy, right? So they would book in my dad at least maybe once a month there for some of their shows. And it was just that's how we grew up. We raced at Miami Hollywood once a month, and they paid us X amount, and that helped put food on the table. But I'll tell you what, I got to experience so much stuff out there during, like you said, in the 70s when people were, where there wasn't no social media, and it was run what you brung and everything else. And oh my gosh, you can only imagine.
Yeah, social media or evidence, one way or the other. Hey,
evidence thereof, yes.
Now, you mentioned your dad, Baby Huey, all those years. I remember, I have all these memories, and sometimes it takes someone to say something to trigger one. And I know I've got a bunch of them in there, and I told the audience about Garlits with the spotlight last week on the show. And I was standing, in the grandstands, and they had these lights shining down the track, and everyone wanted to see Garlits, and the light went out. And all of a sudden, now we're in delay, and people were getting angry. And Garlits finally got out of the car and went over and fixed the light and made a run, and it was just an epic moment. I remember a different one about your dad. Match race, 2 out of 3 against the jet car. And I remember as a kid, because I'm, as much as they call me Jet Car Joe now, I like the wheel-driven stuff. And I was like, I cared. Like, I was a kid rooting really hard for the Baby Huey, because, there's a little Baby Huey on the back, and it's a funny car versus a jet car. And every run, your dad would, put 3 lengths on this thing, but the jet car would drive around at the top end.
Yeah, yep. If that racetrack was a little bit shorter, that jet car would have been in trouble, but he had a full steam ahead coming. And we always liked to be in front of him because, my dad would sometimes even red light against him because, if the guy gets in front of you, it blows all that stuff all over the car and scratches it all up, as it's going down the racetrack. So, what else we would do is we would take a piece of rubber. Imagine like a rubber fender on a bus, the little extension that comes out on a 4-inch piece of rubber.
Yes.
And we would tie wrap it to the bottom of the frame rail on the car so that it wouldn't trip the beams until it got to the rear tires.
Right. Extreme
so
rollout.
We could leave a little early and not have to worry about the jet stuff getting on the front of the car.
Oh my gosh. Just awesome.
Kind of an old Nick Bonifani trick. He used to stand in the beams when they were match racing, Nick Bonifani Sr. But that was one of my dad's tricks. Hey man, we're gonna fix this.
Yeah, no, but the showmanship, under the lighting, the lighting was so different. These incandescent bulbs that barely lit the track, but it was just enough, and it had that old school look and old school feel. It was a 4-lane track. There was sometimes they ran 4 wide out there. Early on, I would imagine.
Yeah. That's right. Remember what they called it? The Georgia Strip.
The Georgia Strip.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know why they called it the Georgia Strip, but it was called the Georgia Strip.
Yeah, and it's where...
And a little trivia, who was there that night with Don Garlits working on his car?
No.
Richard Hogan.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Richard Hogan was Big Daddy's shadow for many, many years.
Oh, my gosh. I'm going to have to ask him about that.
That's where he cut his teeth.
Well, and that's kind of what, and for those that are out there listening, out there at the Miami Hollywood Reunion Card Show and induction, I did some interviews. I did one with Daryl and a couple of the regulars out there. And, just the memories of this place coming back. I'm going to have to speak with some of the NHRA regulars that had been through the place. And you mentioned Hoagie as a perfect example, but there are others.
Well, let me tell you something. It don't matter who you ask, Joe. Everybody's been there. You can ask Don Perdome to Tom, to any top fuel racer, to any funny car racer. They've all been, I would bet to say that there's not anybody that you could meet that was a big name that hasn't been there. It was, somebody, they had at least been there once or twice, because, we had some big races from time to time down there. And Florida, again, was a hotbed, so they'd come down and stay.
Yeah, it's such a shame that we lost the place. And it's Hurricane Andrew is what really did it in that once we lost South Dade and we had hundreds and probably thousands of people looking for new homes, that's when they decided to develop the land.
Yep.
Yeah. Very sad. But like we keep pointing out, we are crazy people in that we are keeping this place alive. 26 years later, we are not going to let it go. This is
Joe,
this
I can still
us.
see it. I can still see every rock in the parking lot. It's like one of those memories,
Yeah.
Just like you, we were kids. We were very impressionable. And I got my license out there. I drove the first ever junior dragster. My dad built me. I drove down that racetrack.
And that's a big
got
stat.
my license in the AA altered.
And I was there for a lot of it, and going to see you at the Gator Nationals. And I've said this over and over again. This is our Miami team, and now everybody's out of Brownsburg, right? And so that part of drag racing is kind of lost. Regionalism, like our guy from our hometown. Everybody is based in the middle, and that's kind of a bummer. But I understand why, and the sport is probably better off for it. But still, you were our Miami guy, and you had Miami everything about it, and old school Miami nonetheless. And that was cool to go to races and have a home team to root for.
Well, we and Gainesville was our home team or our home track, and we, as far as a national event goes, and we had a lot of success there, and just, blessed to have that kind of success and have that kind of the memories that have lasted so long, and the great people that surround all those memories.
Yeah, and you used to be, and people don't realize that you were like a hotel also for these racers that would come down to do booked-in shows. They would very often stay with the Gwynn family.
Big Daddy stayed at our house. Jungle Jim's been to our house. Oh, gosh. I mean, that list could go on and on and on. I mean, Jungle Jim and Pam were at our house one night. And, I mean, I think I said this yesterday. We had a big turnout at the reunion yesterday, and we also honored Jungle Pam. And I think everybody was there to see Jungle Pam and got a little disappointed when you showed up, Joe.
Totally. Well,
because they were hoping for Jungle Pam, and they got Joe Costello.
Yes.
So,
sorry, everybody. I could see it in their eyes, Daryl. I could see it in their eyes. But it was very funny. Jungle Pam, let's talk about her for a second, because she was out at Maple Grove, and I didn't get up there to see her, but she spent some time on the mic and relaying stories with Alan Reinhart and all. And a perfect example of whatever it takes. All those guys, they understand that Jungle Jim is an icon of the sport and all of that, but the fact of the matter is, when you say Jungle Pam, they all smiled, and they all loved her for reasons all her own.
Right.
And so whatever it takes, that was part of the showmanship of Jungle Jim.
That's right. Everybody would run to the starting line when Jungle Jim would run, and half of it was because he put on a show, and the other half was she put on a show.
Yeah, unbelievable. All right, well, you're going to be putting on a show, and Martin Truex Jr. is going to be putting on a show on Thursday morning. So if you're listening to the show and it's like Wednesday night, you set an alarm between, what'd you say, 9 and 11 approximately.
Yeah, 9 and noon. It'll probably be closer to somewhere between 10 and noon, because we're just getting, geared up at 9. So I'm guessing it's going to be sometime before noon, but closer to noon.
You don't want to be first out. You want to let him get some laps in, tune the car, get everything right. The page is official Darrell Gwynn, DarrellGwynn. Go to Facebook, like it in advance, and be ready, because we're going to see DG on the Monster Mile with Martin Truex Jr., the reigning Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series champion, driving and understanding that you cannot be scared. That's good. That's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm ready.
Cool deal. Darrell, once again, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And everyone needs to know, I'm going to take you up on an offer that you made to come into the WFO studio one night and just, kick it for a show and maybe do a role reversal. Maybe we'll get your dad in here and spin some old school stories about some things that happened down here in the MIA back in the day. We got to figure out the right time to do that.
I think it'd be fun. It's fun to recap that whole Miami Hollywood experience and document that, because you even said yesterday, we're looking for the old radio advertisement, Saturday night, 7 miles west of on Hollywood Boulevard, be there. I mean, I'd love to hear that again. We have all the memories except that one. So let's find that one, and me and my dad will get on the show and we'll talk smack about Miami Hollywood for the hour.
Love it. Love it. Darrell, thank you very much. Enjoy your ride. I'll be watching, definitely. And once again, thank you for the kind words.
You got it, Joe. Take care. Thanks, everybody.
Darrell Gwynn with us here on WFO Radio. How cool is that? I know it's a little NASCAR-y at the tail end of the NHRA Nitro podcast, but it's Darrell Gwynn telling the story. Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series champion Martin Truex Jr. is going to take Darrell for laps in anger around the Monster Mile. They're going to Facebook Live the whole thing. Go to official Darrell Gwynn, like the page. And if you know about Facebook Lives, how they work, just be ready. You'll get a beacon. They're getting ready to go live, and hopefully we get to see Darrell as he goes around out there and is hoping Truex scares him and gets after it so he can go fast again, and I think it is great. Like, what's better than that? That's what it's all about. And the fact that Furniture Row Racing, which we all know that they are ceasing operations at the end of the season, are taking the time to do fun and positive things like this for veterans and people with spinal cord injuries, just great stuff. And the conversation about Miami Hollywood, there's going to be a monument now built to the facility. That is what a big deal it is and was. And I've had everybody tell me, Al Segrini and others, they went down there, they spent time there, they enjoyed it, they saw it in my community, our community, when it was a different time. And, you know, I could tell you thousands of stories. Darrell's got thousands, but not here, not on WFO. And why? You know, WFO, like, wide freaking open. But we also have some young listeners out there, and there are certain material and subject matter that probably shouldn't be discussed and broached, to those folks out there. You know, there's a reason we don't use profanity on the show. It's because I imagine that there are kids out there, let's call them, 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds that are listening to the show, even though we do put mild subject matter on the rating on Apple Podcasts. Because when I was a kid, I was listening to stuff and trying to find cool things to listen to. And maybe there's someone like me out there listening. And so that's why we choose to not use, blatant profanity and all of that kind of stuff. But we will, double entendre and whatnot. Why am I telling you all this? I'm telling you all this because, like, the real hardcore stories about Miami Hollywood, a lot of them are questionable subject matter, man. It was a rough place. It was the 1960s, 70s, and 80s in South Florida, out west, by a concert venue, the Sportatorium. Look, just look it up, where crazy stuff went down. And whether it was an ornery crowd throwing beer bottles out onto the Georgia lane, which was the four-wide part of the drag strip, also the staging lanes, right? Whipping beer bottles out there. Like, crazy stuff went down. And but at the same time, it went through chaotic, crazy periods, and then it went through, better periods. And there's good stories, and there's terrible stories, and the place was spectacular, though. But we'll live on now through a monument in Pembroke Pines, Florida, that people will be able to go out and see. And that I've received a letter, like, it's happening, which is awesome. That is so cool. And the fact that, Darrell inducted me into the Hall of Fame, and obviously he's in there himself, and just great stuff. And I wish him to have a fun ride. And there you have it. And this has been my time at the tail end of the show, brought to you by patreon.com/WFO radio. For those of you who want to support the show directly. I have not been doing a lot of creating content for the Patreons. But this weekend, I will. Out there at the AAA Texas Fall Nationals, going out to Billy Myers track. And very excited about it. Only 4 races remaining. Not excited about that. Not looking forward to that at all. But I can tell you the off-season will be some of the best WFO content we can come up with. So we encourage you to subscribe and all of that. But what about you guys? All right, tail end of the show now. Let me turn it around. Get very ignition on you in that it's been another really strong, great, fun season of NHRA drag racing, of WFO. I've had a lot of stuff, wild stories, cool stories. We got things going on, pro stock maybe changing. Are you, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about the way things are going? NHRA drag racing, we've got some people. Harv has emailed me a list of emails and things that I read, and I always read the emails, and sometimes I feel like the show has already addressed the email, so I don't necessarily bring it on. Or in other cases, I address the subject matter without reading the email. But, a list of, like, the bodies blowing off. What do we think about that? And the answer is this is drag racing. And it's always going to be chaotic and extreme. I think we're experiencing one of the better seasons ever. I guess it all is going to depend on the results, right? Like, what are the results? Like, if Steve Torrance goes on and completes the championship season, then we're going to look back at what we've seen, this run by this family-owned team, and we're going to say, wow, that was something special. Pro stock, Tanner Gray, is he going to win and is he going to leave? Is he going to win? And, what's going to happen? Is someone going to jump up and take it from him? Funny car. Robert Hight, is he going to cruise on to victory with Jimmy Prock and Chris Cunningham? Is Ron Capps and Ron Tobler going to be able to get up there and mix it up? Is Courtney Force going to lead the whole way and lose it to her teammate in the final 6 races and have a legitimate gripe where Brittany was able to win the championship because of the countdown? Courtney is going to lose the championship because of the countdown. Or let's call it the playoffs. Really? Playoffs? Let's just stop. NASCAR, who it's very unfortunate. They are, a bit of a downswing right now, but really still the cutting edge of trying to make what they're doing understandable to average people. And we call our playoffs the countdown. And it is. It's the NHRA countdown. But it's the playoffs. It's the extra bonus period after the regular season where only the best of the best get to compete for a championship. And in American language, we know that as the playoffs. And sometimes you go to the playoffs as the number 1 seed and you get beat and you don't get to be the champion. We were the best in the regular season. We had the best regular season record, but when it mattered, we failed. Playoffs. The Major League Baseball playoffs are getting ready to start. Many of you know that I am a New York Yankee fan. Dom Lagana and Bobby Lagana and Chris McGahey and countless others, New York Yankee fans, probably all feeling a little nervous about this one-game playoff that's scheduled to happen midweek against the Oakland A's. Many of you are listening to this after that playoff has already happened. You can probably sense in my voice, one game to advance. Very drag racing-like, right? You get one shot. You can't spin and win. You get one shot to go out there and win this game and then maybe advance to play the Boston Red Sox or maybe load up and go home after what has been a great season for both teams. Have had strong seasons. There's no ducks on this pond. And then you got Boston and you got Houston, and it's just going to be awesome. Playoffs. That's what we got. If Courtney goes into the playoffs and is unable to advance, is not able to perform, where's the car from early in the season? They do not deserve to win the championship. And to me, I love it. I know some people don't love it, but this is how it is. I want all you listeners to understand going into this, final quarter of the season, the holidays, all of that we at WFO Radio are really working hard to give you something each week to listen to and enjoy. Hopefully you are. The drivers are certainly doing their job, putting on a show. We had a lot of crew chiefs. We had Kevin Helms. We had Greg Stanfield. We had Chris Cunningham. 3 crew chiefs. Alan Reinhardt, just a spectacular job as usual. We had Archie Cohn. We had Corey Mack. We had Stephen Bell. So we had 3 drivers on the show. And Darrell Gwynn, one legend. I think we covered all the bases. All right, everybody, that's going to do it. Thank you all for the kind words and well wishes throughout the week. Of course, also, thank you so much for listening to WFO Radio Ignition, which, if you're in the WFO app, you'll probably hear next. All right, that's going to do it. We'll see you in Dallas, baby. Don't forget, meet up out there in Ennis, downtown Ennis, Thursday. Starts at 5. I'll get there around 6. Marvin Rodak going to be there. Bobby Graham. They'll have Sharpies. They'll be ready to sign all your autographs out there at the Fan Fest. We'll see you there. WFO.
WFO! The views and opinions of the hosts, guests, or callers do not necessarily reflect that of the station ownership, advertisers, or agencies.
I love WFO Radio.